Okay, so we will be starting now the Hyper-V live motion and replication, but we need for that two Hyper-V servers, obviously, and I hope many of us can join from a lot of us here. So, but the concept is, a bit separate from what VMware has been doing in terms of migrating a working machine from one server to another server. So if I show you that in a diagram, and let's check it out. So I just need a lot of, yeah, okay, so this diagram here, and so I need a couple of drawings from here. Thank you very much. So Control C, and okay, so paste and drag. So this is Hyper-V 1 or 02, and this is Hyper-V01, and it's striked out, so let me just unstrike it. So what happens is that you have a lot of virtual machines here, and the two technologies or the two features we are trying today are all about replication and live motion. So this VMware concept of vMotion, so that's a very similar concept, and it requires a little more prep than what now we're going to discover with Microsoft. So if you have these two machines here, so this is Hyper-V physical server here, and these are the virtual servers actually to which hundreds of clients are connecting. Maybe it's a file server, it's a SQL server, it's Exchange server, it's a very high-end physical host here. Then those are the virtual servers to which all.
So I'm not installing 2012, I'm just installing Hyper-V bare bones.
Here in physical, yes.
Yeah.
If Hyper-V hypervisor is installed only,
Yeah.
that's always better. And in this scenario, of course, that should be the case.
Yes.
In our scenario, we still have to have those cloned. So there's hypervisor 1, hypervisor 2. Hypervisor 1 is that you install the hypervisor directly on the hardware or the small software called hypervisor, right? And then hypervisor 2, type 2, it is that you have operating system first, and then on top of it you have a hypervisor, and on top of it you have virtual machines. What example of that? An example? Yeah, what we are doing. So we are working on hypervisor type 2, but yes, if it's a dedicated and hypervisor functionality you want, then definitely you should go for Hyper-V type 1 hypervisor. But here we're gonna just stretch our processor and memory to the extreme now. So what's going on here? The main concept here is that I need to go back to icons here. Oh, I need this one. Thank you. And the main concept here is there's always a third storage where you're saving your VMDK, or in our case it's VHDX, or the hard disks of your virtual machines. So those virtual machines are running here, but their hard disks are always running. Okay, so how do I design that? Here, yeah. So what we need to do is, while I still search for that, yeah, I'll just drag this. So what we are doing here, normally this happens, but now Hyper-V has started working on for smaller organization that cannot support a separate SAN environment or a remote storage environment. where all the hard disks of the virtual machines are stored. So why are the hard disks stored here? Any reason? So virtual machine is running out of this Hyper-V or ESXi, VMware ESXi, and the hard disks are stored here. Why? So if this host goes down, it will take the data with it, right? It will take the whole thing. Otherwise, if this machine's hard disk is here actually, and there's a connection through iSCSI or SAN, either Ethernet SAN or the fiber optic SAN. So this machine can be migrated to this host, while the hard disk connection would still be available on the third storage, right? This is the concept, right? That if you want to migrate the machine, the virtual machine, it will go from here to there, there to back and forth. You can just migrate the machine because the data or the hard disk files are here on a third storage. So what VMware has also introduced now is virtual SAN, which Microsoft calls it shared nothing migration, which means that this guy goes out. Now you don't need this guy. And where does the virtual machine storage or the hard disk or the VHDX files reside? They reside here. Okay, again here, inside the local storage or a network attached storage, because small companies and medium-sized companies, they have always network attached storage, so they always can afford that. But so virtual now, if you lose a physical server, definitely you're losing everything. So somehow you get that from SCOM monitoring tool or any other monitoring tool that, oh, this hard disk is about to be corrupt, and it's just acting strange, its performance is very low and steadily going lower. This means these are indications that you're about to lose your hard disk. If this is the case, or if you have a higher end server here that you want to use and this you want to decommission now, so what you do, you stage a migration. This is the Microsoft one, and there when it asks for during migration, hey, where do you want to store your files? Suppose the files are already on this local storage, so you will just give the path of the second server, and it's going to transfer the virtual machine here in Hyper-V version of that, and then the storage files also in this local storage. But the good thing is, the main thing is, those users who are connected to this machine will never know that their machine got migrated. So this has to be a live migration. A machine is turned on, the users are connected, the users are making modifications, and you're live migrating it in this way that the hard disk files of this machine are locally stored here once, and when you start migration, it just asks where do you want to store it, and you just point to this storage, and the machine is migrated, as well as its hard disk files are also migrated to the second host. And you do not need a third storage. Like always virtual environment, in virtual environments, you always need a third storage, right? The sandbox. So this really removes, or there's a great cost cutting. Hey, small businesses and medium-sized businesses were saying to Microsoft and to VMware as well, hey, we cannot afford that SAN you're always talking about, so we cannot implement your solutions in our company, sorry. So they came up with, so Microsoft came up with, so let's just write it down. Oops, not here. So Microsoft came up with shared nothing live migration, and that's one of the migrations that Microsoft supports. And VMware came up with a similar solution called vSAN. And both solutions say that, hey, just use your local storage. You don't have to buy a expensive SAN for that, or third, some rows and rows of or racks of hard disks and try to do that. You can just go for your network attached storage or direct attached storage, DAS or NAS, for that as well. So vSAN is from VMware, offering the local storage solution, and shared nothing live migration is part of some of the types of migrations you can do with Hyper-V. So while we are doing that, or while we're discussing that, one thing to should be clear that the storage, we don't need a third storage. We have just two Hyper-V machines, and we can consider it hypervisor type 1, which means no operating system. It's direct hypervisor. We can imagine that the steps of the this shared nothing live migration would still be the same if it was a type 1 hypervisor, or if it is type 2. Ours is type 2 hypervisor, right? So the steps for that, we need to really get that environment up and running. So I'm just gonna quickly put down the major steps here, and are you able to clearly see that? Just make it a little bigger. So first is we need to Hyper-V's. Second thing is we need to do that workaround to do that workaround. Third thing is once they are up, then we need to configure them according to the prereqs of live migration. So, and fourth would be we need one client machine. So we don't need to install operating system inside that client machine, because already we are too much nested. So this will be so client 01 and start it, and when we do the migration, we ping that machine continuously, just to see if it loses total connectivity while migrating, right? So we can set up that, or we can just go with one network card. It's up to us. Both ways it's gonna work. So there will be a wizard. So these are just major steps, and we need to quickly go for the workaround for two Hyper-V machines. And last time we did it in 410, right? So that's like long time ago, like very long time, way in the past. Oh, okay. So server 2 and server 3, I'm just gonna send you the workaround as well, and try to pull this out, because now Hyper-V, anything economical is really gaining ground. So what's economical? One is RxCSA. So Linux, very economical. So many companies are starting Linux. Now Microsoft is releasing its SQL Server. SQL Server is Microsoft's main database. It is the database solution, right? So it's releasing SQL Server for Linux now. Linux is so popular now because it saves money, as well as Hyper-V in comparison with VMware is saving a lot of money. So this skill is very much in demand. That how do you anything high availability and disaster recovery, and that you're in demand, or you can impress the interviewer if you know any of the high availability. So here it's live motion and replication. These both skills are very important. So we need to know the prereqs of that, and let's try to pull it off. So do you have the workaround for that Hyper-V, or shall I send? I'll send you, because you need to dig out, I guess, from old documents, where 7410 documents. So I'm just gonna So, well, I have sent you the document, the workaround for Hyper-V. So I'm just gonna open that document and quickly do the workaround for two of the Hyper-Vs, and then we go for prerequisites and quickly configure those as well, and then we finally go for. So first we shut down two VMware machines. It could be your domain controller and member server, or it could be two member servers and separate domain controller just sitting and watching the whole show. But so I've opened the document, and these are the three lines that we need to add to the VMX file of both of those. So I'm just gonna copy these three lines, and I'm just gonna go quickly to my server 2 and 3. I have a separate domain controller, so and server 2, seriously, okay, I actually need to join them to domain. That would be quick. Server 2 my domain dot local, and my I think my domain admin, does it accept that? Oh yeah, so and then the second one. So if you got the document, please start the workaround. It's not gonna be that troublesome because we're gonna just start an empty machine, empty client machine we're gonna create. We're not gonna install Windows 7 inside that or Windows 8 inside that, although it's gonna be a bit more, live experience if you have that. My domain admin. So just trying to get that to join the domain. Okay, once these are joined, I'm just gonna shut it down now. Once my domain admin login. Okay, so yeah, this is started after joining the domain. Now I'm gonna just shut it down. So it's stop dash computer.
I can use other machines, like it doesn't have to be part of the lab, right? This is like I'm just using the machine from my previous class.
Oh yeah,
That's fine. Right?
it could be any machines. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it doesn't depend on any of the previous labs. You're right. Okay, so quickly going for my domain admin, and then shutting down the machines here. So stop dash computer. Okay, so the first machine, where is the folder located? I'm just going to right click the settings here and go to options here, and the working directory here. The working directory is going to show me where's the folder location of this machine, particular virtual machine. So Control A, Control C, and then go to run and Control V and press enter. So it opens that folder location for the first machine, and there's that VMX file already showing here, and then we go for open with and notepad. So let me know if I'm going fast, so I could go faster, or so let me know wherever you're stuck and something's not happening. So I'm just copying that code. We did that couple of weeks ago, but that's a couple of weeks. So at the end of that VMX file, the three lines have to be added. That's all. if it's at the end and 3 lines have to be added, and they're added, so close and save the notepad. And the 3 lines are actually, yeah, is the document I sent you. So that's not the only thing we need to do, but we need to then go for that machine while shut down and go to the processor side of it and do these 2 tasks of just checking these 2 on the processor for both the machines. So adding 3 lines to the VMX file, end of the VMX file of each machine, and then going to the processor and enabling virtualize Intel VT and virtualize CPU performance checkboxes. Just both of these checkboxes must be checked. Once that is done, so we can safely start the machine. So the first machine is done. The second machine, I'm going to go now and do the same thing. So right click, settings, and go to options, and there's that working directory on the right side bottom. That's the path of the folder of all the files of this machine. So Control A, select all, Control C, copy for the working directory. Will it show clearly? Oh, that's pretty clear, not even to me. Okay. Whoa. Well, here comes microscope. Think it's clearer. Okay. So I right clicked the second machine now and went to the settings, went to options, the second tab, and to the right bottom there's a working directory here. So I'm just doing Control A, Control C, and then going to open the run for my laptop host operating system, and then Control V in the run and press enter. So the exact folder opens now for server 03. I have server 01, 2 and 3. Server 1 is my domain controller, 2 and 3 are the member servers where I'm configuring these workarounds and later going to be deploying Hyper-V. So this is the VMX. So let me know if anyone is having any issue. So open with Notepad, and again I have to go to the document and copy those three lines and go back to the notepad and go back to the end of the notepad, seriously, and go back to the end of the notepad, and so that's close and save. So the second machine, now I just need to fix the processor and turn on the machine, and that is it. Because I have some space here, so I'm just gonna add memory, and it is shut down, so I'm just gonna add it to 4096, so 4 GB of memory I'm putting it. That's the third thing I'm doing, but that has nothing to do with the Hyper-V workaround. So I'm just increasing the memory as well. Oh, I did not do the processor thing, I think. So for server 03, need to do the processor thing or the configurations. Just check the 2 boxes here, and check the 2 boxes here, server 03, and I increase the memory of server 03 to, from 2 GB to 4 GB, which is just optional for you. You don't have to do that. Since server 03 is 4 GB, I'm just gonna do server 02 as well. So I'm again going to shut down server 2 because memory only works, I think, when workstation 11. I still have to restart if I change the memory. Alright, so power on. Server 2, server 3 is already power on. Now server 2, 3 are 44 GB RAM plus that workaround has been implemented. So now I'm just going to log in to server 3. So let me know who's where and what are you doing. So you're following lab or?
Yeah, I restored my environments, but it's taken
Oh yeah.
extra long to do.
Ouch. Oh, okay. Yeah, restoring does. So whatever you were doing before, you could have just installed Hyper-V role extra there, or is it the environment where you have configured clustering?
No, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, it's better if it's always better if it's new, because for this replication, yeah, there shouldn't be any further configuration. So Jay is also following, or kinda? Okay.
I'm using the previous machine.
All right.
Which is,
And they are okay, right?
now one of them already had, I still have the 410 left, so one of them already has Hyper-V.
Hey, way to go.
I'm just installing
One
that
more.
right now, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you have 32 GB RAM?
No, it's 16.
Yeah, which is okay. 4 GB still you can go.
Yeah.
And yes, sir.
So there's this,
Oh.
you have to create solutions
Oh, okay.
from template that's
Which is good, but so I could keep going, or but yeah, just try your best to reach, because you know, test results comparison is always a very very good idea. But anyway, so my environment was really acting weird yesterday, so I had to recreate the whole thing. That really took a lot of time, extra time. So now server 2 starting. Oh, I don't know why it shut down. So while server 2 is starting, I'm just gonna start installing the Hyper-V role on server 03. So I'm just gonna go for dashboard, add roles and features.
You need 3 in total?
Well, it could be 2.
Okay.
So one on domain controller and one on member server.
Yeah.
But in my case, I just put 3. Domain controller is separate, so it both works. And domain controller is a must. Otherwise, last time on Hyper-V Lab, we just did it on a member server that didn't require domain controller. Now it's required because of Kerberos configuration we're going to do. So we're gonna need domain controller for that, and that's also a cool feature in Hyper-V. So I'm just gonna start installation from domains and not domains and trust. What am I talking about? So roles and features. I'm just gonna add on a member server Hyper-V and add the add features of that and click next and go ahead next. So when we are adding the role of Hyper-V, it asks for the Ethernet card that we want to connect or not. Okay, let's connect the Ethernet card, but later also, if we hadn't done that, we could just do some more extra stuff. I'm just selecting that. So when you reach there, you could select this Ethernet card. If you want me to wait for like 10 minutes, I can do that.
Yeah.
If you think it's gonna take like a lot more than 10 minutes for the environments to come back, so you know, it's still recording. I'm on this, so 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 3 hours. How about that? No, I'm just kidding. 10 minutes? Okay, cool. So 10 minutes. I'm just gonna pause the video.
Alright.
Resuming now. So I'm just going to I'm trying to configure the server 3 and server 2 for the Hyper-V. So I'm just selecting this, allow this server to send and receive live migrations of virtual machines. There's that authentication protocol that's very very important, area where we need to think how do we want to do the live migration. So there is that cred SSP or credential security support provider. The only purpose for CRED SSP, if you select this option, is that it's less secure. First of all, second thing, you have to be physically on that server. You cannot connect remotely. So if it's at a data center, that Hyper-V, that's not a good idea to go there, and you have to physically be on that server to configure all that. If you want to remotely securely want to connect to the Hyper-V server, then you can use Kerberos, but that's going to be further steps which we need to understand and actually know those steps. I'm gonna explain those steps now. After configuring this, but for now, I'm just gonna select the use Kerberos. Otherwise, for us now, easier one is CRED SSP, that we configure that, restart, and just do the live migration. It's easy. But in production environment, it's pretty. I'm pretty sure that you have to do the Kerberos thing, and it requires the delegated access to the machines, and that needs to be configured in the Active Directory, which is a couple of steps. So we're gonna do those steps. So I'm just configuring for both Hyper-V servers, use Kerberos, and then we're gonna talk about what that constraint delegation concept really is. But the one-liner is, if you select CRED SSP, then you have to physically go to the server and start the installation. You cannot remotely connect and do that. You can remotely connect to the Hyper-V server, but you cannot perform the migration. Then it won't let you. If this is configured and you're trying to remotely do that. But if this is configured, use Kerberos, then it's going to properly authenticate you and let you remotely connect to a Hyper-V server and start the migration. And of course, in production environment, data centers are somewhere up there or down there, and you're way somewhere else, and you have a laptop and it has Windows 7, Windows 8. So you are always connecting remotely. So this would be, you would need to configure, or you would need to know how to configure that in Hyper-V. In VMware, we don't need to do all these extra steps, but here in Hyper-V, we have to, if we want to remotely securely want to connect and remotely do the whole thing. So next. So I have selected this in the previous screen, the only network card I have. The second network card I disabled because it's just being used for internet. So next, and the use Kerberos, next. So there are the two separate paths for virtual hard disk and the Hyper-V machine itself. So machine has a separate path, virtual hard disk has a separate path. We could have put them on D and E, E and F, right? So or you want to put the hard disk to a third storage area, SAN area, so you can do that, right? Just put that path. But anyway, it's the local storage now, and we are talking about less budgeted company deploying this kind of solution. So next, and if it requires a restart, yes, go ahead. If not, it's not going to. Click install.
Installed like that with this check mark for live migration.
Where?
Both Hyper-V has to install it.
Exactly, both. So I'm gonna go to the server 2, and I'm gonna configure that the same way. So the Kerberos way I did not use to try for my, for this private lab, but then I realized that it's in production environment. You're not gonna be using CRED SSP. Most probably, you'll be remotely connecting if the servers are in the data center, of course. Okay, so I'm just gonna go quickly to the server 2 and do the same thing. Add roles and features. Hyper-V, next. Role-based server 2, Hyper-V, add features, and just select the first network card, Ethernet 0. Of course, when you're doing live migration to the machine that so many users are connected right now, and it's a kind of a big risk, so you really need to make sure the prerequisites are really perfect. So double check the prerequisites, because any downtime is a no-no. And if you said interview, yes, I can do that, so they will just put you in the environment, okay, do it now. So they could do that too. Or in the interview they could test you that, okay, what do you need to do for if you need to remotely connect securely. And if you did that, use Kerberos. And if you say use Kerberos, they're gonna ask, okay, where do you go and do that configuration? So these are a few steps in the Active Directory that I'm gonna do now, but that's going to really be good for interview. So use Kerberos, next, and restart, and yes, and install. So on server 3, I think it's going to restart. Oh, it already restarted. So once it restarts, it does some other, remaining portion of installation of Hyper-V, and then we are good to configure the Hyper-V. So it's installing on server 2, while in server 3 it has restarted. So if I go back to the major steps here in where we were keeping the major steps, so Control A, Control C, I'm just gonna actually copy that on Word document. So oops. So major steps. Okay. So I'm just gonna paste those major steps here, because I'm just gonna keep on adding whatever else is required, and it has its own view of 200, so make it 100. Okay, so we need to, so the major steps here were till now these, and I'm just going to add some more here, or keep adding as they appear. We need 2 Hyper-Vs done, and we need to do that workaround done. We need to configure them according to the prereqs. This need to be done. We need to start the client. So we're on the third step now. We need to configure them according to the prereqs of live migration. So when we talk about prereqs, there are quite a few. First is same processor family. So if one Hyper-V is from AMD and second Hyper-V is from Intel, it's not going to migrate, right? Second is the virtual switch name must be same. So we're going to create a virtual switch, external virtual switch called the prod. So we will create external vSwitch called prod or production. Also we need to make sure the network is reliable, another prereq, and we can have separate migration network configured if we want. So there could be 2 network cards. One network card is just doing the internal traffic of DNS Active Directory. Second network card is can just do migration. So, and then fourth prereq is that configure live migration option on both Hyper-V, the same way exactly, and there are 1 or 2 more prereqs, but they are like by default we already have that configured. So I'm just gonna go to the slide as well and double check. So my server 2 is already back, so I'm just gonna start doing the step 3 there. So let's just go back to my server 2, which is back, and it's going to complete the remaining of the Hyper-V environment installation. So server 3 is already done with the remaining Hyper-V deployment, and so it's fully installed. I need to now start configuring or going through the prereqs. So server 3 is also done, and both Hyper-Vs are successfully deployed. So I'm just going to start both Hyper-Vs. Server 2, I'm just going to start the Hyper-V now. and we're gonna go step by step for all the prereqs, because we don't need a downtime when it comes to so many users connected, and it has to work perfectly when we start doing the live motion. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for the slide and go through the prereqs. In fact, we haven't talked about some of the concepts there with the Hyper-V environment. So while now Hyper-V is configured for me, and I just need to go with the prereqs. So before that, I'm just gonna go through some of the slides there. So managing overview is that manage virtual machine VM movement, perform live migration, perform quick migration, perform storage migration. There's a storage migration as well. Anyone knows what is a storage migration anyway? Storage migration. So what is storage in virtual environment? Whose storage? The hard disk of virtual machine is called storage, right? So would you know what is a scenario that you would want to move the storage of your virtual machine or the hard disks? VMDK is the hard disk name of the virtual machine of VMware. VHDX is the hard disk name of the virtual machine in Hyper-V. So anyone knows what's I think we need half an hour more for the environment setup, right? Or I can do blah 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 and you can do the environment setup, and when you see the video again you will understand everything. Yes. Anyway, I'm gonna explain as well. So perform storage migration. Storage is the hard disk of the virtual machine. So virtual machines are always trying to access, of course, the read and write, doing the read and write on their hard disks. If I go to this diagram back here, Visio, and the hard disk can be they are always using that, either if it is present on a third storage like on the SAN, or on the local storage. The virtual machines are always using that hard disk. So if you want to actually, if I have two storages as well, or if your company bought a new storage here and that's much more better performance, all SSD drives are present there, all drives are SSD instead of SATA and SSD, or just SATA, and you want to migrate the storage of all the virtual machine to the better hardware, so you could just migrate just the storage and give the path to the next hardware. Or if again that server, your virtual machine may be migrated but your storage was still there on the first machine, you could just move the storage as well to the second machine. So there could be many scenarios where you would want to move the storage or the hard disk of a virtual machine from one hardware to another. So that's called the perform storage migration. We're going to check the options when the visit comes. Configuring virtual machine network health protection, configuring drain or shutdown, import, export and copy VMs, migrate from other platforms, P2V and V2V. So physical to virtual migration, which is very very common in production environments. P2V is performed a lot by virtual administrator, virtualization administrator, and V2V is also virtual to virtual. Anyone knows the example of V2V? What's a V2V anyway? Virtual to virtual. Across the no. So V2V is that if your virtual machine is Hyper-V and you want to migrate to VMware, so it's a different vendor, different virtualization vendor machine. And P2V is physical to virtual, which is just transferring from physical to virtual. This, before in interviews they always ask the P2V and V2V, especially P2V, because everyone is going crazy in virtualization and they're getting rid of all the hardware. So they always ask what are the P2V you have done. If you have experience, you say that you have experience in Hyper-V, or you have experience with what? With the VMware. So now I'm gonna talk with Timbits in my mouth. Okay. Oh. Okay. I need to really pause that. So this question was asked in interview. Have you used P2E? So I said yes, and I was not expecting the next question. The guy said, which P2E software did you use? And I was like, it was and that's it. The name just vanished out of my mind for the P2E software. So VMware has VM converter, and so P2V software, and if you say yes, you better know the name. So VM Turbo, P2V tools, physical to virtual, Storix has that. So VMware VMware is offering, of course, it's a free tool, best software for P2V conversion. There are many software, but definitely we need to really know before the interview of virtualization that what is. So VMware has vCenter converter, exactly. So I used it also in the lab as well, just to show how P2E work. Then there are many actually. So I just because we're talking to SCVMM is offering the P2V functionality for the Hyper-V. VMware. So for VMware, for your interview, you can say that VMware. It's the fact actually. It's not that you can say that. vCenter converter is the P2V tool for VMware, and SCVMM is the P2V tool for Microsoft. But in this virtualization admin, so VMware vCenter converter, double take move, plate spin migrate, Microsoft P2V migration, which is done by SCVMM, right? Yep, it is still done by SCVMM. Quest V converter. There are many tools here, and I'm just gonna put this link for if we do get that interview question. So there are many P2V and V2V tools. Let's just go ahead a little, understand the virtual machine migration. For a server administrator, virtual machines are, so let me just double check that numbers are moving right. Okay, cool. For a server administrator, virtual machines are one of the best tools to use for providing functionality on demand. With relative speed and ease, you can deliver additional applications as soon as they are needed. Okay, we know that. So live migration, quick migration, and storage migration. What's the difference between the three? So live migration, as the word says, the process of moving an entire VM or parts of a VM to another physical server without a cluster. So we already tested the clustering feature, right? So, and I hope we know the components of that, and before interview, definitely we should go through that again, the screenshots. So quick migration is that the process of moving an entire VM or parts of a VM to another physical server using a cluster. If we have cluster and we have put the virtual machine on the cluster itself, so then this is the quick migration, and that is very quick actually. So storage migration is the process of moving the storage of a VM from one physical server to another without a cluster. So we're going to use the live migration, which will also show us the option of storage migration. We're going to discuss that there as well. Understanding live migration. So LM allows, or live migration allows you to move the entire VM or its storage from one physical host to another. The process is sometimes referred to as shared nothing process. So that only is this is a terminology Microsoft used for that. So migration, shared nothing migration, because the storage is mirrored over the network to the destination server while the VM continues to run and provide network services. So this is a concept that it's saying that storage is mirrored over the network to the destination server, while the VM continues to run and provide network services. So if I just want to depict that in the diagram, so what's going on is that the storage, so if this is the storage for a virtual machine, and this is a virtual machine whose storage is this, the storage, when you do a live migration, the storage, there's a exact copy of storage created there while the machine is still live, and once the storage is there and back in the where the machine is starting to migrate from and where the machine is migrating to, the storage is mirrored to both places during the migration, and then the machine easily migrates while there are so many connections to that machine already made, and the users are actually using this machine, and the machine actually migrates with live connections to the second physical server, and the storage, because it is already mirrored, so the storage is already there. There is no problem. Suppose there's some disruption in the migration. Suppose the migration is corrupted. Suppose the migration is failed. The users would still never know, and the machine would still be, the storage is still here, and the mirrored or exact copy of the storage is here as well. So wherever the machine lands, machine has full access to its storage, right? So if it fails, it's gonna be here, and it's still accessing its storage. And if it passes, then it's going to be, as soon as it reaches this physical server, it's going to be using the mirrored storage or the exact copy of the storage on the destination. So in any case, the the users do not get a downtime for that. And that's the idea of VMware as well. Well, a little different. While the VM continues to run and provide network services to perform an LM or live migration. Why am I saying live motion? They're saying live migration. Anyway, so follow these 4 steps. Configure LM prerequisites. Yes, we are about to do that. Configure LM security constrained delegation if needed. So this is for Kerberos, and very important to know. Configure the source and destination computers for LM. Yes, the physical Hyper-V servers, we need to configure those, and move a running virtual machine or VM storage. So the 4 major steps are these, and then the rest of the steps. So to support LM or live migration, you need 2 or more Windows server, of course, with the Hyper-V role enabled, and you must meet the following requirements. So these are the requirements that I'm going to go through now. First requirement is already met. Use processors from the same manufacturer. We already have that. Second is all hosts must support hardware virtualization. Of course, we support that too. Belong to the same Active Directory domain or 2 domains that trust one another. LM will not work with servers that are in a work group, right? So domain environment is must for LM to work. Live migration. Fourth, the VMs must be configured to use either virtual hard disks, VHD or VHDX, or virtual fiber channel disks. So of course, these are the disk types in Hyper-V. Then use of a private network dedicated to LM traffic is highly recommended but not compulsory. So just like in clustering we had the private network, the heartbeat network. So here they're saying that make a separate network for live migration traffic. So it should not, if from the same network card, the DNS and other traffic should not be going as well as the migration traffic. So create another network card, set of network cards. So 2 network cards. If both machines have extra network cards, and you put the IP as 10.0.0.0 there, so it would be a separate network through which, and you can define that live migration will happen not on 192.168, but it's going to happen on 10.0.0.0. If you define that, it's going to go that way, right? So Membership is in one of the following groups: administrators, domain admins, Hyper-V administrators, on both the source and destination machines, or in Active Directory for both domains if using trusted domains. So Hyper-V administrators, membership of that, whichever account we are trying to use, through which on which we are going to be doing the migration, they have to be part of either the domain admins group or the Hyper-V administrators group. So we're going to make sure that these all requirements are met. In our case, yes, we have a domain, and all other requirements are met other than this one, that are they part of the domain admins. I think this is also met. So I'm just going to go ahead, move options. There are 3 options to move virtual machines. Move the VM's data to a single location. This is simplest, and this is what we're going to do first. Move the VM's data by selecting where to move the items. This provides the most options for where you can store the various components. Move only the VM. This requires shared storage and allows you to move the VM without moving the virtual hard disk. That's what we're not doing, because we don't have a third storage here to do that. This is how it looks like, but we're going to do and go through this wizard and do that. So now the lab, and we already have that. So install 2 virtual machines inside one of the Hyper-V. Better if one of them has a working OS of Windows 8 or 7. Let's create external switch by the name of production or prod. Let's add another NIC with the IP address of 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.2. Let's make sure our domain administrator account is also part of Hyper-V administrators. Okay, so I'm just going to do one thing here. I'm going to make the domain administrator part of the Hyper-V administrators security group. Set up live migration options on both Hyper-V machines. So these are the major steps, or the actual steps. So I'm just going to go and start these steps now. Quick migration. So there are more details of quick and live and storage migrations. So I'm just gonna go back, just double checking the video is going. So let's go back and try to configure that now. So I'm just I'm on server 2 and 3. So on server 2, I first need to make sure that among the major steps is that same process family, yes, done. Yeah, so virtual switch name must be same. We will create external vSwitch called prod. Okay, let's do that. So I'm just gonna create a external virtual switch on both of the Hyper-V, and then name it prod. So I'm just going to the first Hyper-V now and check what is the virtual switch manager setting here. There's one legacy card just showing here, or the one network card that is bound to this Hyper-V is showing there. If I try to create a virtual switch now, new virtual switch, and external is already clicked here, and create virtual switch, and let's put the name there, prod, PROD, production environment or prod, apply, yes. So it says failed with adding virtual Ethernet switch. Why? External adapter is already bound to the Microsoft Virtual Switch protocol. So we need to delete first this network card, delete that, which is already there showing Intel, whatever the network card company name is. So we cannot create a external virtual switch and bind it to this network card. We have to first delete that already existing network card from both the Hyper-V machines. So remove. So I click the network card here, click remove, right bottom, and apply. Press yes. It's gonna give an error, and if the error comes that internal error occurred, just keep trying to delete that again and again, and one day you're going to be able to delete that. Yeah, that error. So we remember that, right, from the Hyper-V experience 7410. So internal error occurred. This is a pretty stable version. Yeah, right. So, oh well, the error occurred, but still it's gone. Actually, so if I click cancel instead of OK and go back to the virtual switch manager, yes, even if the error occurs and you press cancel out from there, it is gone. So now I can safely create a external switch and bind it to the Ethernet card of this Hyper-V machine. So new virtual switch here, external, create virtual switch. And one more thing, yeah, okay, so the name of the switch has to be the same, so let's just give a very simple name, prod, P-R-O-D, production environment, so, and apply. So already that card is showing there, apply, yes. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. Nothing? I mean, like, nothing good? What's not working? The internal, yeah, this is what occurring to me too. So if once it appears, try again. Press yes again. Sometimes if it keeps on happening, then just cancel out and that task is done. Most of the time the task is done in the background. It's just not going through the apply thing. If it's not done, then just do that again. In my case, I'm doing it for the third time now. Apply, and one day it's going to succeed, I'm sure. I'm always hopeful with Microsoft. Yeah, right. So, oh come on, this is the fourth time. Wow, it's a stubborn one. Apply, fifth time, and then I'm gonna cancel out. Seriously? Okay, that's the fifth time error, so I'm just gonna cancel out, go back to the virtual switch manager, and it's not created. Seriously? Okay, create virtual machine again, virtual switch again, and prod. Oh, on which attempt? Third attempt, okay. Yeah, we just need to be hopeful with Microsoft. What a hopeless situation. Okay, apply. Oh, it worked the second time on my second attempt, and last attempt was 5 times I did that. Second attempt, second time it worked, so we always are hopeful with Microsoft. Okay, but this is happening obviously because we did not install all the Windows updates, so that's why some vulnerabilities are there. If we are on the latest updates, this might have been resolved already. So external virtual switch has been created by the name of prod on first Hyper-V. I'm just going to go to the second one, exactly do the same thing. Go to the virtual switch manager and then remove the card that is bound to the internal protocol, Hyper-V protocol. Remove it from there. Okay, wow, the first time it got removed. Something seriously right with it, this machine. Now adding the new virtual switch, external, and going to create virtual switch, naming it prod. The virtual switch name has to be exactly the same. Apply, yes. Oh, seriously? Oh, okay, I was getting happy. Wow, really? First time. Woohoo! Anyway, there's something seriously right with this server 03. Okay, so first thing is done, which is the virtual switch name must be same. Now make sure the network is reliable, separate migration network. Well, this is recommended but not compulsory to do that. So, and then there is configure live migration. Now we're gonna configure the live migration, but let's just create client 01 and test if it starts. So I'm just gonna create a client 01 empty machine. I'm not gonna put an ISO there, but if the machine is started and we are still able to ping it, do we have DHCP? we can only ping if it has an IP address. Okay, I don't think I have DHCP. But anyway, so I'm just gonna create a new one virtual machine just on one Hyper-V, because this machine is going to be migrated while in the started state. We're gonna migrate that to the second Hyper-V. So virtual machine, right click, new virtual machine, then we go for next. So it's client 01 generation 2, which supports all the 2012 R2 options. Next, 512 megabyte and use dynamic. And is it connected to anything? Yes. Now prod switch will appear here, which we already created. So we just connect it to the prod switch, external switch, and then next. Now create a virtual hard disk. Yes, go ahead. Next, install an operating system later. Yes, it has. I'm so tempted to install an operating system right now, but that's gonna take like some time. So, well, it's gonna be started anyway, right? So I'm just gonna dump an operating system and give it a path. If it installs, it's okay. I'm not gonna spend more or at least not concentrate everything on deploying an operating system. So I'm just gonna go for the lightest one. I should have gone for Linux if I was good in Linux, and I'm actually getting gooder gooder and gooder by the time. Yeah, because I really need to teach how to create Linux environment, Red Hat, and then connect it with Microsoft environment. So for that I need to really get the Linux up and running or down and running. Okay, so I'm just putting the Windows 7 because I don't have Windows XP or Windows 95 actually. So whatever is the lightest. So I'm just copying that there. While in the background it's going to get copied, I'm just gonna keep configuring the other portions of this. Okay, because I have 4 GB RAM given, so whenever it installs, I'm just gonna put it to ISO. So while this is going on, I'm just gonna go back and check my steps here. I'm doing this step right now while we need to do configure live migration option on both Hyper-V. So let's go and configure that as well. So for that I'm just gonna go back to server 2 here, and the live migration options. Okay, let's go to server 3 because server 2 is kind of busy. So server 3 also, I'm just gonna go to Hyper-V settings here. I'll put it on my magnifying glass now. Okay. Okay, I don't know what's stuck. Hyper-V settings here, and now these are the Hyper-V settings, and there is that live migration option in the Hyper-V setting. On the right side are all the options that we can configure. It is, if it's not enabled, enable it. Enable incoming and outgoing live migrations. Okay, simultaneous live migrations, how many you want to support depends on the time of the day when it's not the peak hours, and also the bandwidth and how many machines simultaneously you want to configure, live migrate, like 2 machines, 4 machines, 10 machines at the same time. Second thing we are seeing here, incoming live migrations, which just means so you can use any available network. There's that option, and then use these IP addresses for live migration. So I'm just gonna go for the second one, and I need to mention the IP address of this Hyper-V. It's 192.168.200.2. So I'm just gonna click add here. So live migrations again, Hyper-V settings, then go to live migration, and then go to this incoming live migration. Enable first the incoming and outgoing live migration option, then go for use these IP addresses for live migration. Click add 192.168.200.2. This is the IP of this machine here. So exactly the same thing there, of course, with that machine's IP. What we're telling here is that just do live migration with this machine and don't do any unauthorized or unexpected migrations. Now only these two machines can do migrations with each other. So I'm just gonna, this is server 03. Also this, if we press plus here and go to advanced features here are the authentication protocol options. During the wizard we selected Kerberos, although if we select CRED SSP, that's gonna be much easier for us, for the private lab, but we are aiming for the production environment, obviously. So I have selected use Kerberos here, and we need to further set up that as well. In fact, I need to put it in my steps.
So when we set up the Hyper-V, we use credentials, CRED SSP, and here we use Kerberos.
So CRED SSPs, you need to go there to that machine physically, log into that and do that. Use Kerberos, it would let you remotely access the Hyper-V and do the live migration securely. And Kerberos is what you're going to do in the live production environment. And
I just need to discuss with the whole class. Next week, Saturday, we are on. So, Amir, are you going to have the class on Saturday?
Use Kerberos is what we're doing, and this is the area in the live migration, the advanced features. So if you click plus here and you click advanced features, you go for use Kerberos. So the second thing is performance options. So it's the TCP/IP network you want to use, or SMB protocol you want to use to live migrate the machines, or you want it to be compressed. And if you compress the data of the live migration of the machine, it's going to use a lot of CPU. For the migration, it's going to first compress, then it's going to decompress there when it reaches there. Or if you don't want to compress, then if you want to use TCP/IP, then it's going to use a lot of bandwidth, because since you did not compress it, it's big. It's a lot of data, right? So it's either you use CPU or you use the network. Better CPU than network, right? Because nowadays, it's high end. But even if you have a lot of time, so let it. If it's slow doing the compression, it's okay as long as we have a good bandwidth to travel on. That's what we would be preferring. Our recommendation is that. So what we did here in live migration on the first host, we just added the IP of this local Hyper-V, and advanced features, we just made sure that use Kerberos is there. That's only two changes we made in this area. Press OK. That was Hyper-V 3. So I'm just going to go back to server 2, and it needs a permission to copy Windows 7. So it's compression still. But just the local IP is the main, and Kerberos, above. So I'm going back to my server 2, where the Windows 7 stunt I tried to do. Even if Windows 7 is not there, we're good. But somehow I just tried to take it to the live environment. So install an operating system, browse. Even if it's just on the start of the installation, it's okay for me at least. So there's a C drive here. C drive. Hello, C drive. I'm double clicking you. Yes, you, the C drive. Oh, there you are. and its ISO has been given on for Windows 7, but you don't have to do that. And click finish. So this machine I was creating with the name of client01, I'm just gonna start that because we're gonna do the live migration for that. So it's starting with 512 MB RAM, and I just want to see if it's not using any if it's not giving any error. So if I connect now, click connect, so it has been started. Let's click connect, and now it's connecting, and Hyper-V logo is there for the machine, and it is not able to boot from that system because of course it requires that eject Windows 7 action. If I just send alt control delete, does it ask for just press any key to continue? Oh, it did not even go for that. Oh, stubborn. Boot failed, EFI, SCSI device. Okay, it's just booting from the first one. Settings. Oh, settings won't come, or it will come. Okay, good. Hard drive, DVD, processor, professor. Well, let's try to give up on this now. Okay. Oh yeah, there. So it on top is DVD anyway. So network is below, and if I turn it off, then it's gonna give me firmware editing options. So I'm just going to click close here and turn off. Somehow I'm so much tempted to configure that firmware. If I go back here again, if you have to handle a machine like that, so secure boot is a feature that helps prevents unauthorized code from running at boot time. Let's not be secure now. What else? That's it. And DVD should be the first booting media, so I'm just gonna click apply, okay, and go ahead again, start, connect. Oh, there you go. If it accepts my mouse input, press any key to continue. Hello, I'm pressing any key. Oh, it's in shock. It's like, what have you done? Hey, that's any key. Believe me. Okay, so one day it's gonna reply to me, and boot failed, EFI, SCSI device, Big Z network boot using IPv4. Seriously, Hyper-V, you suck. Oh, I should have pressed in time. Oh, there you go. Okay, I take my word back. Hey, as long as you're starting Windows. So anyway, I'm just gonna leave it to that. Okay, so now it's a bit heavy machine. So this will, this will be near to our live environment, production environment, where a machine is actually there are connectivity going on, connections are there, and it's having an operating system. So second thing, I'm just gonna I did not configure Hyper-V settings here, so I'm just gonna do the same thing on server 2. Go to live migrations here, and it's already enabled, and use this IP address. So I'm just gonna put the IP address of this machine, 192.168.200.2. Oh, I put the same address there as well. We just can check that. I should have put 3 there. Oh, it's also 2. So I say, and 3. Okay, that's 3 and 2. So another advanced features, when you go for expanding it to plus, Kerberos is there and compression is there. Okay, good. Now the Kerberos part, constrained delegation. is what we need to configure inside the Active Directory, which just means that you're enabling, you're allowing only these two machines to do live migration, and you're telling Active Directory, hey Active Directory, these two machines are only going to be doing the migration, so please allow them to do that. And since we configured Kerberos, so the whole process will be very secure, and Active Directory will be approving that process. So I'm just going to go back to my server domain controller now and do that constrained delegation. So if I go to tools and go to Active Directory users and computers, since those two machines are joined to the domain, and live migration does not work if you're not in the domain environment anyway. So I'm just going for those two machines here, computers, in the computers container. The first machine, server 2, if I right click and go to properties, there's that delegation tab, right? And we need to, so the first is saying do not trust this computer, so definitely we're going to go for trust this computer for delegation to specified services only. And when we talk about specified services only and use Kerberos only is selected, now we need to go and select the services, right? So what are the services and where are they anyway? So click add here, and this is per machine we have to do. Suppose there are 10 Hyper-Vs involved, so you have to go either you have a very good PowerShell script, otherwise you have to go one by one on each Hyper-V machine that is taking part in the live migration, to click add, to go to the delegation, to click add, and go for users and computers. So which computer is taking part, which computer is going to be the partner of this computer. So I am on the properties of server 02, server 03 will be the partner. Check name, press OK. As soon as you select that, server 3 will be working along with this. So you have to select CIFS for storage migration. Again, what is storage? VM is not storage. Something about VM is storage. Now I got the whole, told you the whole thing. Come on. So the hard disk of VM. What is the extension of the hard disk of Hyper-V virtual machine hard disk? What is the extension of that? Dot VHDX. VMDK is the VMware virtual machine hard disk extension. Whew. Okay, so if I select the service CIFS here and press control, this means on server 3 you are allowed, Active Directory is telling the these two machines on server 3 or from server 3 you are allowed to migrate the hard disk of the virtual machine. So I am pressing control here and going down and going downer, and if I expand that, this is the second one, control and select. So now two services, this is Microsoft Virtual System Migration Service. This Active Directory is telling those two machines, those two Hyper-V machines, yes, you are allowed to transfer or migrate the virtual machine by selecting this Microsoft Virtual Machine Virtual System Migration Service, and yes, you're allowed to migrate the hard disk by selecting the CIFS service. CIFS and Microsoft Virtual System Migration Service. You have to select two service. This means now you're getting approval from Active Directory that you're going to remotely connect to these machines from any of the of your Active Directory account and then do the migrations. So this is a step that needs to be done on all Hyper-V servers that are taking part in the live migration, if you want to do it under the delegation of Active Directory or under the security of Active Directory. Otherwise you can just go for CRED SSP and just log in locally to that one Hyper-V and just start the migration, right? So I'm pressing apply and OK. So I configured it for server 2 only. Now I'm gonna go for server 3 and do exactly the same thing. Go to the properties, go to delegation, go to trust this computer for delegation to specified services only, use Kerberos only. And now first I need to define which computer is the partner working with server 03 to do live migration, which I did before with server 2. So of course server 2's partner server 3, server 3's partner server 2. Of course we just have 2. So I'm clicking add here again, and users or computers. Take this lab just like you took clustering. Very, very important, right? So because you're talking about live migration, migrations are the main thing that are always going on in every job environment. Okay, so server 02, check name, press OK, and then yes, I need to migrate the disk from server 2. So press control. What else you need to migrate, Mr. server 03? So then server 03 goes down and say I need to migrate the virtual machine as well as the disk. So CIFS and Microsoft Virtual System Migration Server is added. Is it server or service? I think it's service. So Microsoft Virtual System Migration Service and the CIFS service. One service is responsible for migrating the hard disk. The second is responsible for migrating the virtual machine. So apply, OK. So well, this is how you configure the delegation. I'm gonna refresh that. One more thing is, if you go to the built-in option here, there is that Hyper-V administrators security group. So if I just update all those major steps here, so make sure the network is reliable, separate micro network. Let me just put as recommended, not compulsory, optional. Second thing is configure live migration option. Then more steps are go to Active Directory users and computers and configure constrained delegation. And then add the logged in account to do migration to the Hyper-V administrators group, security group, Hyper-V administrators security group. Okay, so this means that what we did, so only changes we did was we don't need to do anything for same processor family. It is same. Second thing we did was, this, create an external switch. We did this, so done. For make sure the network is viable, we're just using one Ethernet card. If there's a huge amount of machines and you want to migrate them, or you may need to migrate them from time to time, so go for a separate set of network cards just dedicated for migration, right? But in our case we are just going for one. Then we did this, configure live migration option there, and there we defined the IP address only, and we chose Kerberos there. And then we went for Active Directory and we configured constrained delegation there, and we added 2 machines, and the service we added was CIFS, and the other service for virtual machine, that's a long name, and hopefully one day I'm gonna memorize that. So, and then we went for we're gonna go now for Hyper-V administrators. I'm gonna add this domain admin account inside the security group of Hyper-V administrators, and hopefully that would be the last prerequisite that we need to do. Okay, I need to select that again so this guy could come. Okay, these are done. Also, we created a client and actually connected Windows 7 ISO to that. So now what we need to do is start the migration wizard. So prerequisites, the actual changes we did were there. Some of the changes were already okay. So now we are kinda ready. So pretty much ready. So I'm just gonna go back now and try to so yeah, the last step was Hyper-V administrator. So double click that, go to members, and my domain admin is already there. Okay, I was gonna I just created a new account, so it's no longer sysnet admin, it's my domain admin. But in your case, if it's the domain administrator name, whatever is the domain administrator name, just add that to Hyper-V administrators, right? So now we can start with the wizard of this, and if I try to connect to this machine, I don't intend to install the whole Windows, and actually it also does not intend to install Windows. What? It's still there where I left it. Okay, that sucks. Could not send keys to the virtual machine. Could not. Okay, whatever. Oh, seriously. You know what? Magnifier sucks. Oh. Okay, so what's going on, Windows? You need any help here? Well, it's 512 MB anyway, so it's already really brutal memory given, very less memory given to it. So the protest is legit right now. That I'm not gonna move from this point. So okay, as long as it's just working. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I want to ping it. So for that I really need to get a DHCP. It goes bigger and bigger. Add roles and features. So I'm just gonna quickly create a DHCP and restart that machine and give it an IP address. DHCP, add features, next, because when we migrate we need to ping it -t, right? So that will tell us, oh, there was no big disruption while the machine was being migrated. For that it needs an IP address. So add a DHCP, that I would just add to my steps now. Wow, gross. So that would have been one of the, not the prerequisites but the major steps. Make sure DHCP is working. So just gonna go back and DHCP is installing. So okay, it's done. Close. Now I need to further configure the DHCP. Next, commit, done, and now I need to further configure DHCP. There was a further and then the further. So I'm just gonna quickly give it a scope, so the client machine could grab an IP from here. Test scope or Toronto scope. Next, 192.168.200.51, 192.168.200.61, whatever range you want to give. No exclusion, least duration, okay. 192.168.200.50 gateway, add, nothing else. Next, finito. Okay, dude, it done. And DHCP is there. I hope the machine grabs that because it has not been very cooperative. So does it accept the shutdown? Oh, it does not. Cool. Not cool, but does it go for that? Interacting with oh, thank God. Okay, Windows is loading files. It's still stuck at 512, but you know what? Reset. What was the reset? Oh yeah, this one. So the current state of the virtual machine does not support shutdown. For example, integration services might not be installed if the virtual machine is running an operating system that supports shutdown. Oh, integration services are not installed. That's like VMware tools. Well, there's nothing to install that service is on. In the action, there's integration services here. Anyway, where did I reset that? Oh, I just saved the configuration. Turn off. Okay, when it is turned off and we start it, does it show me the IP address? Not. Anyway, one more thing I need to do here. Seriously. Okay, one thing need to do is settings and memory. Let's just be generous now and give it what it wants. 1024 memory. Can we? So let's check it out. Oh, not here. Integrated services. First of all, it has to be started. And if it's a PXE boot and now we have a DHCP, so it should try to get now from there. In fact, if I go to that setting and in firmware I tell it now first to grab an IP address by going to the PXE boot, then it's going to grab it. So network adapter, if we just move it up, at least we get to know what the IP address it caught, if it catches any. Okay, PXE network boot using IPv4. Yeah, and it should have communication with that. Well, so and we don't have our firewalls stopping us from doing this. Oh yeah, they are. So I'm just stopping the firewall so the machine could get the IP address, then we can check that through the IP address what's going on. Like then we start the live migration quickly. Server 2, server 3, firewalls are off, and no, they're not off. The main firewall is on in every one of them, so that would stop it from getting an IP address. On server 2 now, again, when you go, no operating system found, just try again. Now the firewall is off, so it might grab an IP address. Otherwise, we just keep it on and don't do the ping and keep coming back and forth and check it. Maybe that's what we can do. PXE network boot using IPv4. We have an external switch actually, so it is bound to the external network card, which means it can go outside and outside its virtual machine, outside its Hyper-V, and check the physical environment of this VMware network environment is its physical environment. So one day it's gonna work, but until then let's just go ahead and start that. So the machine is started anyway, and I'm just gonna put it back to that operating system. Even if it did not get the IP address, it's gonna get heavy, and that's where we compare it with the environment with the network. So this is the DVD that I'm connecting it to, so it could start deploying the IP, that operating system. No, please don't say that. Yeah, it is. So now when we start, and it's not picking up the DVD. Welcome to Microsoft. Okay, so turn off, save, checkpoint, control the. Seriously, well, when we do a lot of experimentation with Microsoft solutions, just expect the, you know what, quick break. Oh. Oh, okay, sure. It's recording anyway, right? Or break. Oh, okay. Guys, we need a break or to get the machines up and running, and he's paying now. Almost there, so it's a break. So we're back from the break, and let's just start the wizard for the the live migration of virtual machine from. So if I just go back to the map here, the messy one, or if I go to the better one here. So if we have this machine on server 2, which could be, the server 1 here. So I'm just gonna go and try to migrate it to the second machine. Let's go through the wizard now and see what options the wizard has for us. So I'm just gonna start the migration of client 02, which is started right now, and in fact, if I just look at the client 01 by connecting to it, yes, nobody got the IP address, so cannot ping them, but they're both started. I'm just gonna go for anyone. In fact, client 01 has 1 GB RAM, so I'm just gonna try to do that, and for that I'm just gonna click move here, right click client 01 and click move. Move starts the wizard of the migration. So let's go click next now, and it says that what type of move do you want to perform? Move the virtual machine or move the virtual machine storage. So now I'm on the magnifier. So move the virtual machine or move the virtual machine storage. Move the virtual machine and optionally its storage to another computer running Hyper-V. So virtual machine and storage will move. So that's what we want right now, to move the whole thing. So I'm just gonna go next, and this is the end of. Oh, thank you. Oh, this is not the end because there's a coffee now. Thank you very much. So this is the start of the lab for Jay, especially. And if there was no coffee, then it was the end of the lab. So.
Normally, at home, I can go 1 hour straight.
Oh.
And I take a break and then go 1 hour. Like I cannot last more than 1 hour.
Man, how would you last in a 8-hour
No, so, I
environment
don't
in
do that.
office?
I walk out. Like, even at school, I'm like, you know what, I'll do it on my own
The
time.
boss sometimes is on your head,
Yeah.
and it's some 3-hour troubleshooting.
No,
So
I told my manager that I need a break, like it's 1 hour break, so I told him I can't do it that way. I prefer to take like 15, 30, 15. Like, to me, I don't work well.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Some people they like the 1 hour lunch. Right?
Yeah.
It's just one straight.
Yeah,
I don't work well like
keep
that.
coming and going.
Like I'll eat something and I'll think, okay, I'll go.
Oh.
Drink something, I can go. But I can't go more than 1 hour.
You could try at least to change that, right?
No, I tried.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand that. It's not like
Oh.
if I take a break,
Mm.
then I'm like fresh again. And
Yeah.
I understand it. Then I lose track. My mind loses track.
Ouch.
So
Okay.
It's harder to do that.
Oh, now you're like freshest.
If I have a drink, I'm back to normal.
Hey, that's good. So we started that wizard. So if I cancel out, all we did was right click the client machine and click move here. So just double checking all the options. We did that. So and tried to get the machine to have an IP address from DHCP, which failed somehow. We need to troubleshoot that. So the machine is just started. We're not pinging -T that machine. So
Why do you have two machines on the same?
well, I tried the second machine. If it could grab the IP address from DHCP, it also didn't. So I need to troubleshoot that. But instead of that, let's just keep the machine up as live migration, and its machine is live now. So click move, right click and move. There are many options, and first of all, either we want to move just the hard disk of the machine or the whole machine with the hard disk. So we're just gonna select the first option here. And now it is asking for specified destination computer, and it's going to first ask the name, then it's going to let us access the C drive directly from here of the second machine if it has full access and the firewalls are off. So the name of the second machine is server 03 in my case. So if I put server 03 and click next, if it detects that, then the next option comes. Now there are three more options. Move the virtual machine's data to a single location, which we will do actually. So on server 2 we initiated the migration of this machine, so from server 2 to server 3. So on server 3 we're going to move the whole machine, the virtual machine as well as its hard disk, in one folder on the destination server. So second option is move the virtual machine's data by selecting where to move the items. There are if I click that, if we click the items thing, this option allows you to select the location of each item to be moved, and if we click next, so I wanted to show that option, but it's not going to come right away. Move only the virtual machine, and that's going to just move the virtual machine but not the hard disk space. So we're going to select the first option, which moves everything, machine's data as well as the hard disk, to a single location, which is on server 3. So that's our destination server. Next, so now it asks where is the folder that you want this machine to move to, and when I click browse, it's not the local Hyper-V folder, it's the destination server Hyper-V server folder. So it's the C drive of server 3. While I'm sitting on server 2, I can access easily the C drive of server 3. So it's letting us do that, and what we need to do here is give a folder. It's not letting me create one remotely, so I need to go to server 3 and create a folder called live motion or any other name. So what happens is that then we get to select that empty folder, and the whole machine data will move there. So I'm just gonna go and right click on the C drive of server 03 folder and just name it live migration. This empty folder has been created on server 3 C drive. If I go back to the wizard of live migration and cancel and click browse again and go to C drive, now I see live migration folder. So this is the destination folder in which all the client 01 machine, the virtual machine that is migrating, it's all files, hard disk files, and the virtual machine files will be landing on the destination server's live migration folder. So select folder, next, and finito. Oops. So what we did was just tell it where is the destination, who is the destination server. Oh, it's done. Cool. So client 1 was on server 2, and when we go to server 03 and open the Hyper-V, there was no machine there. Now client 1 is there now, because it happened fast. So this means and of course we put special attention to each and every option of prerequisites, so that's why it's working. So I have a second machine as well, so I'm just gonna right click and move this machine as well, and next move the virtual machine. Yes, the default option. So right click and move. Now again the destination server first. So if I go for server 03, it's already there where I just moved first machine. Server 03 is there. Next, then move the virtual machine's data to a single location. Yes, move only the virtual machine can be also there, but then the hard disk files will be here, back here, right? So since it's a local data, so move the virtual machine's data by selecting where to move items. This also does not move everything. We need to move everything. Select, and again the folder it is asking here, Control C, it's still that live migration folder. Inside now that virtual machines, all four folders to that client 01 virtual machine are created here. So this is not gonna be okay to dump the second virtual machine as well, and I cannot create remotely any new folder. So I'm again gonna go to server 03, go to Windows Explorer, because I'm just migrating now the second machine. Then we're gonna replicate those machines as well. So I'm just gonna create a new folder on the C drive of the destination server 3, live migration 01. Actually that machine is 02, so first machine was just live migration, second machine live migration 02. In fact I should have put it under another parent folder, both of those. So anyway, this folder has been created. I'm just quickly doing the second migration because the first went well. And if I press F5, does it show that? Yeah, it shows. So the folder I just created in the destination server is showing up here now, live migration 2. Select folder and next and finish. If everything goes well, no error should come. And the machine is migrated, and there was no third storage there. That's the local storage we're using. Okay, great. So both machines from server 2 have been migrated to server 3 while they are still started. If I just connect, turn off is there, this means it is started. Turn off is there, it is started. The perfect experiment would be, of course, if we have a Windows 7, Windows 8 installed and if we had a shared folder inside there, and from domain controller we had accessed that shared folder and created a notepad and started writing there something, and then do the migration back and forth action. So then we would know, oh, we are migrating and we are still opening the notepad and nothing is happening, or it will do a little freezing. So how much freezing, how much seconds it's going to stay frozen is what we could have tested, and it depends on our own environment and speed as well. So this is in live migration. We took our time to configure the prereqs, and these machines were new, so everything worked perfectly and smooth. The more time we take to actually spend time on being careful about the prerequisites, definitely there will be no error. Second thing, so any questions about that? That was like, what happened as a result was so smooth in a production environment. Yes, that's what we need, and that's what everyone will be happy for.
I get an error.
Ouch. Okay, what's the error?
The destination computer is not configured to receive live migrations. To enable migrations, modify the Hyper-V network settings for incoming live migrations on the destination computer.
So you did configure the Hyper-V settings options on both the Hyper-V or just one? So live migration option here, enable, and the IP address of each of them, local IP addresses, has to be given. Did you do it on both or just one of them?
I did it on both.
Yeah.
So this one has to have the IP address of the other machine.
Not the other machine. Local machine.
Also so Hyper-V server 3 will have Hyper-V server 3
IP address.
Oh, okay.
And Kerberos, we could have gone for CRUD SSP, then we would have not done the Active Directory step, but that's more important to understand. CRUD SSP is just set up and start live migration. It works right away. Storage migrations was already configured. So yeah, if you give those IP addresses, I think that's the only thing. But then, if there's an error, we would find out from the wordings of the error what's wrong, if there's any other. Second thing. Well, if there's any questions, we done the live migration. There's a replication as well, but so you're gonna configure both and let us know, yeah, if it works, right? And that's good that you're trying. And Jay is also trying, right, to go on somewhere and watch the latest videos of Hyper-V, yeah. Because if you're smiling and looking at the screen, definitely it's some Facebook video or YouTube video.
No, I don't want to do that work for you.
No.
Only on my phone. It's cracked network.
Crack network. Oh, that's the site you go to?
No, I said it's cracked network, so I use it on my phone.
Oh, okay, the Facebook. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So when you're seeing at the screen, it's actually you're looking at the phone, not the screen.
I'm just like at work, I think they have it you have file server, some specific role on Hyper, just one role, right? So if I'm transferring and migrating one Hyper-V, would that mean that the file server would stop?
No.
Or there wouldn't be, it would be a smooth.
Smoothness depend on how busy is the CPU and how busy is your networks.
Yeah.
And how is it over the WAN? Is it in LAN? In LAN, is it the peak hours?
Yeah.
So try to do that migration in non-peak hours, 7 o'clock evening, afterwards.
No problem, right?
Then, because then nobody's using file server anyway, and so CPU is also available.
Let's say you have a server here, this office has a server located, but now it's running out of space, so you're gonna have to move it to your data center.
Yep.
So if you're gonna do that, obviously if it's a file server, it's gonna be large.
Mhm.
So if that comes in place, then does that mean that you would most likely you would do it after hours? Just
Definitely.
on the safe side. Then if you transfer over, is there going to be a huge delay because the fact that it's going to
Size.
plan? Yeah,
Oh, because it's going to be.
it's transferring from here to all the wide area network based on.
Oh,
Right?
so if it's a file server you're transferring,
Yeah,
if it's a virtual file server you're transferring
Yeah.
over the WAN,
yeah. You're not gonna-
if the road can take a full spaceship, a small road can take a full spaceship landing, it doesn't
Yeah.
break, go ahead. But
no.
over a WAN, a file server,
No.
whoa, two opposites.
Mm,
Go for lighter machines, take off the data from there, see the virtual machine size now, take off more data, see the virtual machine size again. It's all about do hit and trial thing. You need to test your network with certain amount of payload. And it worked.
Why
It
is
worked.
that so slow? The wider networks are very slow.
Well, it depends on how much you're paying.
Yeah. Well,
So pay more and you're gonna get big bandwidth.
yeah.
Pay less and small bandwidth. So dedicated lines as well.
The setup they have is okay, so there are different locations and each has its own domain controller and GC, the
Mhm.
catalog. And so each site has its own site, right?
Yep.
Why would they do that over instead of creating child domain, why would they do that setup versus this having a
Oh,
setup?
without child domain.
Yeah.
So it's just that child domains are always for they have their own administrative privacy.
Yeah.
So this means you're putting group policy. It's not going to affect the child domain users and computers. So that's why you don't create child domain. You just add a replica DC there.
Yeah.
Over the WAN, the group policy will travel there and implement on you as well.
Right.
So you if you want branches to be under your control from the headquarters,
Yeah.
so you put one group policy. It must affect those branches. Then don't create a child domain.
And you don't create a channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And-
you would create a site then. That's
Yeah, it is a site. You can create a site there. So tell Active Directory sites and services there is another site
Yeah.
and there's a domain controller.
Right.
So at least the data will travel after 180 minutes, not 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
If it's traveling 45 seconds, then your van is down.
But is it easier to manage versus the challenges like having sites like that have files?
It's more political decision.
Yeah.
It's more political than technical.
Yeah.
You need a separation of operations of day-to-day administration, Active Directory administration.
Mm-hmm.
Go for child domain. Otherwise, it's more administrative decision than technical.
Okay.
You want those branches under your control, then don't go for child domain.
Then go.
Yeah. And that we are back from the break now. Okay, so
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you migrate the Hyper-Vs from one physical machine to the next physical machine, those virtual machines, what if they are linked to like a logical units?
oh,
So they will
yeah.
maintain those connections, right? They're not going to get disconnected.
Exactly.
So when this migration does, it automatically detects all the connections that it has.
Yeah.
Even the users plus it's on whatever connection like ISCSI connections or fiber connections. So we'll maintain that. Let's move it over to the physical.
Definitely. That's what is expert or supposed to do.
You don't have to manually go and do that.
That's the only thing manual we did was define the paths. That's all. Okay, so yeah, any other success? You were able to do the most difficult things, which others were getting errors. You were able to perform, SCCM example. So like, wow.
No, the difficult one was the DPO deployment on CC. And
Yeah.
you yourself had a hard time on that as well.
Oh yeah, that was something I was expecting the most easiest,
Yeah.
and that was like, what?
Yeah. No, I actually used your method did work the last one. I was just researching on that, and there's another method that
Oh,
that is, and that was okay. But
oh,
yeah,
cool.
there was just one mistake I think you did was first not selecting the right setup.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
then you figured it out at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's live troubleshooting going on, and everyone is following me wrong. Then everyone following me right as well. So, yeah, it works. Cool. Okay, we were talking about something other than.
Okay.
You might get the idea what I'm talking about. SEC. So, it, mm-hmm.
You definitely need 16 gig RAM.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
heavy.
That's not.
It's
like,
heavy.
every plugin. Like, I tried on 8, it's just not gonna work.
Oh, you tried actually on it.
I have
Wow.
a desktop that's 8, and it said I can't create more than 2 machines. It didn't work.
Yeah, 16 gigs RAM. Okay, so replication, another very famous VMware feature as well. So concept is same. You're applying for a job, and they say, oh, you can configure VMware replica. Concepts are exactly the same what we are about to do here. But what is replication and what is replica? So first of all, it's all about your defining which critical machines do you really want to create a replica of. So if there is one critical machine that, you know what, I don't need those machines here. So suppose you define that, okay, this machine is very critical and this machine is very critical, and you always want a copy of that machine there which is on standby, so it is stopped. Of course, it's an exact copy of this machine. So this means that whatever changes are happening in this machine, everything has to be copied every 5 minutes to this. Every update, every modification being done here has to be sent across the network to the replica of this machine. This is active one, this is on standby. Of course, no connectivity of users is being done here. Everything is being done on the active machine. So this is nearly like mirroring concept or clustering concept, the replica concept within the virtualization. So for that you need to first define which are the most critical machines, because it's going to take a lot of bandwidth, it's going to take a lot of CPU. You cannot just define if there are 20 machines, hey, let's make a replica of everything. So no, that's going to take down your resources like steeply at once down. It's going to take a lot of resources. Define your virtual machines. Oh, this is critical, and that third one is critical among 20 machines or 10 machines. And then you start creating a replica of those machines on the second server. And then when we create a replica, we can define that every 5 minutes of modifications need to be sent on the inactive copy of this machine, or every 10 minutes you want to send that copy, or every 20 minutes. You can define that according to your network usage and peak hours usage. So you have to go through all those factors. That because if it's every 5 minutes, and if there are 3 machines you're doing that, or maybe there are 5 machines you've configured and they are sending every 5 minutes throughout the through the LAN that copy, or maybe you can just define a separate network. That would be the best option, that the main network would not be disturbed by that. But the thing is that the main concept is that you define a machine. Oh, this is a critical machine. Then you create an inactive or standby copy of that on another physical host, and you can configure minimum 5 minutes of modifications. Every 5 minutes send a modification, whatever change here, every 5 minute check and update that inactive copy. In case of this, you lose this server, and sometimes it happens, I mean, no warning, the server just go down at once. You had no time to even look at it, and so your copy of that machine would be just 5 minutes behind whatever modification was done, because you're sending updates of this active copy every 5 minutes to this standby copy. In case of loss of the physical server and that machine and the data, so this will be just 5 minutes behind the actual copy, right? So creating a replica is a process of, or the purpose, or that's how the replica works. Same exact logic in VMware, same exact concept here in Hyper-V. There in VMware, I was not able to configure replica in my environment because I was still running everything in nested VMware workstation, then ESXi server, then client machine. So it's exactly like that here as well. So there it required much more resources. Here I think it's doable. Again it's doable because we don't have an operating system inside the machine, but we're going to try to create a replica of the other machine, and then we're going to test some of the options of the replica there. But this should require, I mean, it's better to have an operating system there inside the nested virtualization to see the full impact of replication. So let me just check if we have the discussion on that. So there was a quick migration, storage migration, which just moves the hard disk or VHDX of the machine. Virtual machine health protection, network health protection. Starting with Windows 2012, the network health detection and recovery is available. When a virtual machine becomes disconnected from the network, a live migration will occur to a host where the external, this is automation. We need to check that, and that's in advanced features. Virtual machine network health protection. Move the virtual machine to another cluster node if a network disconnection is detected. That's a very good feature. That's for a test VM actually. So if I just go for, let's just see where that option is. So the option says that if you see a network failure, automatically start moving back or forth to that other server. So if I go to that virtual machine here which we just migrated, and settings is there, and then we go for NAT integration service. Oh, it's not there. Enable bandwidth, network adapter. It's the protected network option that I'm looking for, and it was in the picture. So this means it's Hyper-V settings option. Just wanted to put it in the video as well. Enhanced replication configuration. Protection, network protection. Nope. I think that machine was supposed to be started and then we could see those options here. Okay, so well, there's an option that automatically it's going to move, and which is a very cool thing if we were able to test that, but now we need to go further and do the replication thingy. It was advanced features of network adapter in test VM, sorry. It was advanced feature of network adapter. So if we go back to the machine here, right click and settings, so plus the network adapter, and there you go, the advanced features, and enable MAC address spoofing, enable DHCP guard, some of the protections, enable router advertisement guard. Protected network is already configured. Port mirroring allows the network traffic of a virtual machine to be monitored by copying incoming and outgoing packets and forwarding the copies to another virtual machine configured for monitoring. Okay, so move this virtual machine, this is already configured for that, to another cluster node if a network disconnection is detected. Protected network. Well, in the last we can test it. For now, I just need to end NIC teaming, which we discussed already. Okay, let's just go for the replication. So I'm just gonna go back and just check it out. Configuring drain or shutdown. If you need to shut down or reboot a Hyper-V host and you wish for those virtual machines to continue to run, you need to migrate those virtual machines to another Hyper-V host. Starting with 2012, you can configure the Hyper-V to automatically migrate or drain the virtual machine to another host. Again, that's protected network. By default it's enabled. So if I just shut down now or make the Hyper-V unavailable, it should start migration. There are some commands for that as well. Get cluster dot drain on shutdown. To enable drain on shutdown cluster common property, execute the following Windows PowerShell command, and it's going to enable that. So it is disabled right now from the back. If we enable that with this command, this could happen. We can test it, but replication is very important. Exporting and importing virtual machines. This is just import and export, right? But if you have the virtual machine hard disk or the folder is copied there, we can just import and export. I mean, the import wizard we know. Importing virtual machines, register the virtual machine in place, use the existing unique ID. Okay, during the import of the virtual machine, the only thing is that the SID has to be given. The SID has to be unique. So when it imports, Hyper-V is designed to give a unique ID to the newly imported machine. Suppose you have one folder of virtual machine and hard disk which has MS Office installed, Adobe Acrobat and everything else is installed. You make 20 copies of that folder and then you start importing the machine. So you need a unique SID for every copied machine. So this could be a scenario where you need a unique SID for that. And then P2E and V2E. So in VMware, it's vCenter converter is the software name which does the P2E, and in here it's Hyper-V, it's SCVMM or disk number 2 and VHD that does the this thing. Okay, so and there it is, lesson summary, yay. So let's do the replication now. Where's the replication slide? Okay, anyway, those were the prerequisites, and I explained the process of replication, that it's one virtual machine or second virtual machine you want to continue doing that. So now this virtual machine is here, client 02. The purpose is first define which are the critical machines. Second thing is enable replication. So let's try to go through the replication process we have those virtual machines migrated to from server 2 server 3. Now the objective would be to create a replica or a standby copy of client 02 which is residing on server 03, and the replica copy should be created on server 02. Obviously we need to create a folder on server 02 where the replica copy should reside, but let's go and check the replication options there. So right click the client 02, go for enable replication here and let's check it out. Okay, there are lots of options there. So before you proceed, ensure that you have configured a server to allow replication from this computer. To verify this, use the replication configuration page of the Hyper-V settings for the specified replica server. Whenever Microsoft says specified, it's the other server. So this means that replication information, just like we configured in Hyper-V settings, the live migration, we need to configure first the replication settings as well. So if I put those steps here now for replication, replication in Hyper-V. So the first step would be enable on both Hyper-V the replication options and discuss. So and then configure replication for one client VM, and also create a folder. Well, now let's just configure that, and that time we are going to configure a folder as well. So I'm just going to go there and we're going to check what are the replication configuration options that we need to configure in order for cluster like setting or mirror like setting for a particular virtual machine to be enabled. So I'm just going to go to the any one of the, because we need to do it on both of the Hyper-V servers. So let's just go to Hyper-V settings, right click the Hyper-V server name and Hyper-V settings. Inside now you can see the replication configuration area. Above was the live migration which we did. Now we're going for replication configuration here. Okay, let's enable that. There are two types of authentication you need to choose from, or both you can go for. Use Kerberos again, but this time we don't need to do the constraint delegation. We don't need to go to Active Directory and do all those steps. That was just for live migration. This is just replication. It will use Kerberos with port 80 enabled, which is good enough for us. If we go for certificate, then we did the certificate services, certificate services before last class. So we need to have a certificate created there in the ADCS and then deployed here on this server, and that certificate has to be chosen here if we want it to be very secure. Although Active Directory authentication service is secure enough with port 80, but definitely HTTPS is more secure with encryption as well. This is just authentication with ticketing system. So we will still select the doable option, the use Kerberos. Second thing here is authorization and storage. Specify the servers that are allowed to replicate virtual machines to this computer. So this is the incoming traffic configuration we are doing now. Allow replication from the specified servers or allow replication from any authenticated server. So we're going to go for easy option right now just to check the replica. Otherwise it's gonna get a little more complicated if you go for the second option. The thing is that we're just allowing any server to from any Hyper-V server, any virtual machine can request or set up its replica or a standby machine on this server. If we select this option, any virtual machine on another Hyper-V can select this server to place its replica. So it's asking if some machine does want to place its standby copy here, then which folder do you want to put that? So we're going to create a separate folder just to track that movement. although this folder is also okay, but this has also hard disks of other machines. So let's just create another folder. So I'm just going to go to the C drive of this server and create a new folder called Hyper-V-Replica. Okay, it's in C drive and it's called Hyper-V-Replica. So that's where our copies of the virtual machines, the inactive copies, will be placed. So I'm just going to go browse, go to C drive, and there's the empty folder called Hyper-V-Replica, where we are expecting a copy of the active machine. Okay, so once above on the top, first we enable this option. Second thing, we enable Kerberos. Exactly the same thing we need to do there on the second Hyper-V as well. And then we go for allow replication from any authenticated server, and we give a folder of our own. So okay, and it's asking for, hey, you're selecting port 80 for traffic, so why don't you add exception in the firewall? So we have firewall off right now. So this is configured on first Hyper-V. Now I'm going to go to the second Hyper-V and do the same thing there. Go to Hyper-V settings and then go for replication configuration. Enable this computer as a replica server. Use Kerberos, port 80 again, and I'm going to create a folder called Hyper-V-Replica here as well, because if we have any machine on the other side that needs to create a copy here on this, so we can have that copy also created in a separate folder, replica. Otherwise it could be just one machine. We could configure this folder. We'll just configure it two-way, or we at least get to know that there are two-way options, that any machine on that Hyper-V can ask that, hey, I need to create a copy on this server, and any machine, active machine here, can create a copy on that server. So it could be two-way mirroring going on. We can just select. So I'm just creating that Hyper-V-Replica here as well. Select folder. So now both the servers can host a copy of each other's virtual machine. If we do the exact same setup on both servers. While we have just virtual machine on any one, on server 3 only. Right now we have just that. So once we create that folder and we enable that option of by going to Hyper-V settings and enable that option of replication, now let's start that wizard of enable replication. So click here, it starts there now. The wizard helps you. Before you proceed, ensure that you have configured a server to allow replication. Yes, that's what we configured. To verify this, use replication configuration page. Yes, we went there. To prepare for completing this wizard, you can learn more. Okay, next. Now it says what, so I am on server 3, and because my machine is there on server 3, so it's saying where do you want to place your inactive copy, right? So where do I place? Server 02, right? So server 02 is my replica server. Next, it's gonna check and get the FQDN for that. The port it detects already. Kerberos, through Kerberos, it's going to create a copy and keep sending information every 5 minutes. So it detects all that. Compress the data that is transmitted over the network. Okay, compress it, yes. So till now it detected everything correct. Next, there's that folder that has that's going. No, this is the hard disk of this client 02 machine, which is residing on server 3 Hyper-V. This is the hard disk of that virtual client 02 machine by the name of client02.vhdx. Yes, if there were 2 hard disks, if there were 10 hard disks you have attached to this one virtual machine, they would all show here, and then you could choose which hard disk you want to make a copy of, which hard disk you do not want to make a copy of. That's another option. But definitely we have just one hard disk attached to that virtual machine, so we're selecting that. Next, choose the frequency at which changes will be sent to the replica server. So it could be every 5 minutes, every 30 seconds, every 15 minutes. we can send changes to that. So I'm just gonna put it to 30 seconds for now, just to check, changes are coming or not. Choose the frequency at which changes will be sent to the replica server. So in production environment, I would not go 30 seconds. So next, maintain only the latest recovery point. Now that's very interesting. So either it will create latest recovery point, so you can choose to store only the latest recovery point of the primary virtual machine on the replica server, or to add additional recovery points. So if I go to create additional recovery points, coverage provided by additional recovery points in 24 hours. So if you click this, so every 4 hours it's going to create a new recovery point, which is pretty safe. So every 4 hours, suppose within the next 4 hours, within this gap between the 4 hours, your machine is lost. So you could just, or your machine is totally corrupted, you can just go to the last recovery point, and it's going to take you back there, and you can just have your settings saved every 4 hours. If it's that critical, this is a very cool configuration, that every 4 hours create a new recovery point. That's cool. So all your settings is being saved. Next, but you can see that you're creating a traffic and you're creating some hard disk space option there, right? Anyone following that? Enable cloud replication. Okay. So next, hey. So send initial copy over the network. Yes. Now I need to send. So what is saying? Send initial copy just means that I am ready to have my copy available on the second server, so please send it now over the network and create that new virtual machine. So we already know that server 2 is totally empty right now, and server 3 client 02 we are configuring as a replication, to enable replication on that, so you could have a inactive or passive replication partner created on the server 2. So which is totally empty now, but once we do this, we should be seeing client 02 being created there, and would be still in the off position. So either initial replication method, send initial copy over the network, or initial copy over the external media, or USB, you can just take it there and create a copy of that, and then they could later communicate if it's a very heavy machine. So you could just go for the external drive as well. Use an existing virtual machine on the replica server as the initial copy. Maybe there's another machine there that you can consider as a copy of that, but we need to create a new copy, and our virtual machine is already having nothing inside, so it's gonna be very quick. Start application immediately or schedule it, so we're gonna start immediately next, and there it is. So let's see, click finish. As soon as it finishes, I'm gonna go to the server 2 now, and there you go. So there's that copy at once created on server 2, and if we click that copy and go down inside and check replication tab here on the bottom, it says that this is a replica machine, and primary machine is, or primary server is server 03. This is the replica server for that machine, and replication health is normal. So that's very cool feature.
So why it has to be off?
It's a passive copy or a standby,
Right.
and it's just waiting for the first machine to go down, and we're gonna test that now. So that's the fun part. So it's off, and every 30 seconds we have to also configure that send any changes. Right now there is nothing to send there. There's nothing, literally. So the machine is just started there, and that's just a copy, but still we can see some of the options there. So one of the coolest options is that suppose you put that copy there, it's off, and you really need to test it. Hey, does it really work? If disaster really happens, what will happen? So you need to test this. So suppose it's working for days and days and days, and you really need to know. So suppose if you start that now, do you think it's a good idea? If you start that copy is active, client 02. If you start not that copy, that's the active one. This is the passive one. Can you start the passive one or not? I mean, do you want, if you want to check, hey, this copy really is getting any updates or not? Yes or no? Is it a good idea to start that? Now I gave you a little hint. Huh? Why? It's not a good idea to start that. You say that. Why? Or is it a good idea to start and check, hey, are you getting a copy of that or not? I just made so many changes on that SQL server, and you're the replica of that. So how do I know you got that all those changes after 5 minutes of whatever I said? So if we start this, what happens? It's the same, exact same copy of that machine. This means exactly same name, exactly same IP address. That's it. That's going to create a conflict with same name and same IP. So, but you still need to check. It's been 3 weeks or 1 month or 6 months, and I don't know whenever disaster strikes, is this going to really work? So you right click there and you go to replication option, and there is that cool option called test failover. So what this does is, when I saw that, I was saying, wow, that's so cool. So what it does, it creates another copy inside this Hyper-V with a separate name, and it disconnects it from the network as well automatically. So you can just start the copy of this copy. This is already copy, right? It creates a copy of this copy. So, well, why don't we just do that? Test failover. It says, okay, which recovery point you want, because we did configure it for recovery points. So latest recovery point or standard recovery point, which was the first time when it was created. So I just say latest recovery point. Test failover, I click that. Now it has created another machine. This is a copy of this copy. Just for me to check that this is the current copy, and if I want to start it, I can even start it because it is disconnected from the network as well. Is it? If I go to settings of this copy, yeah, my other copy is supposed to be on the prod network, but this is disconnected. But is it the second? Let me just check the second one. Yep, it is on prod, but it created a copy of that, it renamed it, it disconnected it from the network just for the purpose of, hey, start this machine and check till now, did it copy everything from the active or not? So that's a very cool feature. And maybe it's in VMware, but I couldn't find that.
You also tell like the file size is growing, right?
Yeah, if it's the file size are exactly the same for both, definitely. Maybe there are some changes, conversion changes that reach here and they're corrupted for some reason. You might still want to go inside and check all those configuration changes if it's not their size only. So then you can start this and it will have no conflict with. So if I had Windows 7 inside, if I had made some changes there, I would have checked that by starting this test failover machine, which is exact copy of this copy, to check what did it really copy everything for last 6 months if this much time had passed. So you could start it, check it, and then shut it down and even delete it. And that's just a feature that we should know, that we can do the test. We can take a copy of this copy anytime just to check if disaster does strike, is that copy really reliable, because all the client connections will be connected to this one then. And then you discover, oh, it had not been copying this and that, and now we're stuck. So keep creating that test copy and always try to test that.
So try shutting down the test copy and make it an error occurred while attempting to shut down the virtual machine. Fail to shut down the virtual machine.
So which did you start?
Test.
The test, right?
Yeah.
I also just turned off the test one. You got an error?
Yeah. This occurs in the current state of the virtual machine doesn't support shutdown.
Oh, okay. That must be because of those, just like VMware Workstation has a VMware tools, that also has integration tools. That is called integration tools.
Oh, I clicked shutdown instead of turn off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that.
Because there's nothing inside, so it's just looking for that. I just clicked turn off. There was a shutdown button as well? Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, it's not started now.
Should I just delete it or should I
Yeah.
remove server?
So delete. I'm just gonna delete that. It's a test machine which has it was just an exact copy but has nothing to do with the actual test machine. So delete. Second thing is, there is on the copy side there is test failover which creates a separate copy. Then there's a failover. But if we go to the actual active machine now, here it goes for replication and go for planned failover as well. So when we click planned failover, it says that you should be, if you're planning to failover, turn off your machine first and then I'm gonna failover. Which failover just means what? What are we doing when we are failing over?
You're turning the active server to disable it, and
Yeah.
the passive one becomes active.
Passive. The other one now becomes active and this becomes that copy, which will receive copy every 30 seconds or 5 minutes. So, but if we go for planned failover, click here and it says start the replica virtual machine after failover, reverse the replication direction after failover. So this is also good, that reverse the failover, that you really want to test just the failover and you want to come back to this machine again. So you can select the above option as well. Otherwise, let's just, if you do the failover, let's see what error comes. This. The virtual machine must be turned off. For planned failover, turn off the virtual machine and try again. Okay, if I just cancel that and turn off because it is on and turn off, does it really fail over? Because, and how would we know that now this is the active and that is the copy? If you go way down to that replication tab, which is still not appearing because I did not select it. So if you go to replication tab, the primary will change. Right now the primary for this machine is server 3, which where I am now, server 3. If I fail over, then the primary will be server 2 considered for that machine, right? So replication, I shut it down and I just want to do a one-way failover, not reverse. Failover, sending data, start the replica. Now if it was a full-fledged operating system inside, it would have been much more fun to watch that and to check inside the operating system what's going on. Did we mess it up inside? No. So but still I shut it down and now the client 2 here is running. So it did fail over. And if I click this now, and go to replication, primary server 03 is still, it is still saying primary server 03, but let me just check there, because I think its percentage has to be, no, that's CPU percentage, it's not the failing over percentage. If I go down, server 3 primary is still saying primary, but should change that. Replica mode primary, it should say server 2 primary and 3 as replica. But if we go somewhere else and come back, okay, one day it's gonna say that, or Monday. Refresh. Okay, it's never gonna say that anyway, so it should, because if I want this to be, if I fail over to this, but if it says no, I'm never gonna accept you as ever as a primary copy, you were secondary and you will always remain secondary in my eyes. So if that's the case, then cancel planned failover. Oh, this is a planned failover, and it just, that's why it's still considering the first one as the active. Remove replication, view replication health. So if we click that, replication is normal. If there was some data being transferred, it would have been transferred perfectly. So so it is still, if I cancel planned failover now, are you sure you want to cancel? Yes. so it was still a test, and I think it did not get the message. Refresh. Well, maybe I need to start. Starting. Yikes, it did not do anything. Reverse application, remove recovery points, cancel failover here as well. Seriously. Okay, now it understands. It's not that automated. Welcome to Microsoft. Anyway, so client 02, I had to manually cancel failover and it started, but then I had to manually cancel failover here as well. So just tested the whole options there. We get to understand the replication, right? What's the purpose of replication? Just one or two machines or three machines you can just set on mirroring or full replication, and then you can test failover as well as planned failover. So this was replication. It is mucho interesting, and I would really recommend that you go ahead and try to do it at home. Just like WDS, you need to do now the zero touch WDS as well, and screenshots, this screenshot especially as well. Very important task for Hyper-V, high availability, and same concepts when you go for VMware. You will see that replication is the same concept there as well, and nearly same prerequisites even. It's so similar. Somebody copied somebody, you know who copied who. Anyway, so let's go ahead. Who's so good in copying other software or just buying them altogether, and I have no idea who. So let's go for the next topic now if there are no questions here. So first of all, let's get out of this microscope, or not. Press the wrong button. Alright, so let us see if the numbers are still moving. Okay, let's go for next topics here. That was cool. So then there were topics for clustering, and clustering we did, but before clustering or with clustering we could have understood these topics as well. There is NLB, which is Windows Network Load Balancing exam objective, as well as in the job you will see these two both at work, round robin and NLB. So network load balancer as well as the round robin. Round robin is the DNS free option of load balancing, and we're going to do that, and we're going to understand more. And NLB also is a built-in free option for load balancing, but on much higher level and much more smarter than round robin. So what is round robin? This is round robin and NLB. So first of all, the round robin explanation, let's just go there. So if you have two servers, or suppose multiple web servers you have, and if you have three servers and they are SR1, SRK2, SR2 and SR3. So server 3 are there, and they have different IP addresses here. So 200.2 and 200.3 and 200.4. So what happens is that they all have the same application being hosted here, web server, and some website is same website is being hosted there. So what happens is that you can automatically, there is a feature called DNS round robin, and that feature is very simple, basic feature. What you need to do is go to DNS server, and you can create a record. What's an A record? Pretty basic, or too easy for anyone to take part in it. Host record, which does what? Host name to IP address. It's created inside the reverse lookup zone. We're gonna do that anyway now, but what? Okay. A record is name and IP inside the forward lookup zone of DNS. When we want to create an A record, because we didn't have to create an A record. Why? Because when we introduce a new machine, it joins to the domain and automatically creates an A record in the DNS. So we never have to do that manually, but we should know how to do that. So yeah, the basic concept of DNS round robin is that you can come up. So there's a web server, same application created here. You can come up with a name called web app dot sysnet domain dot local. FQDN has to be there, but you're giving one name here, and you're going to create 3 A records in the DNS. So this is this. We already know that the name of this is server 1 and the IP address is 200.2, 192.168.200.2, right? But if you give this like this, create an extra A record and call that A record, the name of the A record is web app, and you give exactly the same IP address 192.168.200.2, which is actually the IP address of this, and there is already a name given to this. But you can again do this. Let me just create the whole thing, and you can do this as well, 192.168.200.3 and 192. Can anyone tell me what significance this can have if you put it this way? First of all, is it supported or not? Yes, it is supported. Same name, 3 different IP address, and the IP addresses are already of some other machine here. If you want to do round robin, now the purpose of round robin, again, it will divide the traffic. If you put it this way, now users have some application through which they need to connect to this web server, suppose. So what will happen is that you tell all the users, hey, just you want to connect to my web server, just type this in the browser, webapp.sysnetdomain.local, and it's going to connect you to any one of these servers because they are all hosting the same application. So what happens, what's the big deal here in DNS round robin? First of all, DNS round robin is by default enabled. It's already enabled. I'm going to show you where it is. Second thing is, first user connects, writes this web app in the browser and is connected to this one. Second user writes this and connects to this one. Third user writes this and connects to this one. Fourth user writes this one. Fifth, this. Sixth, seventh, eighth, and so on, right? So because it says that behind this one name there are 3 IP addresses, and if the DNS round robin is enabled only, then this stunt works. It's not stunt, but where is DNS round robin? But first of all, you get the idea. You can give one name to 3 IP addresses, and those IP addresses are already in use, and they already have a machine name with them. But because of DNS round robin, you can actually redirect the traffic to all 3 servers. I can just keep going on here with more IP addresses and the same name if there are more servers with the same application, right? So where is that DNS round robin? And I'm gonna let's configure also Hyper-V 1 and 2. But if I go to server 1 and go to tools, go to DNS and turn on the microscope again. So if we go inside the DNS forward lookup zone, first of all, right click server 01 of the DNS properties, and in advanced, and there's your round robin is always enabled. So this round robin will always let you balance the traffic. So if you right click the server 01, go to properties, advanced, right? Round robin is there. So it will always let you load balance, and it's a very, very simple load balance. What does that mean? It's not smart. So if one of the server is down and you have mentioned that server there in the 3, it's gonna keep on sending the traffic there to the down server as well. It's that dumb. But anyway, you know already that what option you enabled and what are the repercussions. If the server is down, user will still hit it, and if user doesn't find it, the user will say, hey, what's wrong with the server, I cannot connect, and then you will tell that guy, hey, can you try again now? So when the same user tries again, now this time the other next server in line that user will be redirected to, and it has to be next user to next server. It just goes like that sequentially, next to next, next to next, next to next connection to the next server, right? But it's very simple, and it's always enabled, and you can any web server you can try to connect. And if I want to do that, suppose this is server 2 and server 3. Suppose they have that web application, so right click, new a host, and web app. So I should keep that, and this happens from time to time. The requests come that, hey, can you create that a host record with this web app name or some other application name, and just bind it to these 4 IP addresses with the same name. So this request do come. So 192.168.200.2, which is already an IP address of server 2, right? So web app, this already autofills to a FQDN. In my case, the domain name is this. So add host, when I click add host, it simply adds that. So no conflict till now. Hey, you have an IP address here and you have a different application. But again, if I start doing that with the name, even if the IP address conflict did not arrive, name conflict should arrive. I'm still again putting the same name now, 192.168.200.3, and it's still the same exact same name. So oops, okay, I lost it, seriously. Let's drag it up. So add host again, and successfully adds. So done. Again, now, because if you uncheck round robin and try to do that, it's going to give you an error, right? So because round robin, it detects that, okay, this is a new name with FQDN, so, and those are the IP address already available here. Okay, this means now the traffic, whoever tries to come through this name to these servers, I'm going to redirect them one by one. Next connection to next server, next connection to next server. So this is round robin. Any questions? No. Although it's going to, if I had selected that and if the reverse lookup zone was configured, it would automatically create that. If it is created, no problem. It's not created, no problem. Unless the company policy says create it, it's okay. But it's the basic traffic redirection through DNS round robin. So in an interview, they could ask, okay, what are the load balancing options we have? So you could say 2 actually, and one is DNS round robin, which is a basic DNS based load balancing solution, and the second is the NLB, which is the network load balancing, the actual solution, but it's still the Microsoft solution, so please don't go for that. Don't say it in an interview, right? But anyway, there are very, very smart load balancers from different companies, Cisco, UI, and they have big and very, they have very complicated features as well. But Microsoft load balancer, it still is being used a lot wherever they cannot afford the bigger ones, right? So let's go for the smarter load balancing solution now. But DNS round robin is something that does come as a task, as well as you never had to use that for, right?
So
You had to?
thinking this,
Uh-huh.
right? So if you have round robin enable, so if you have load balancer,
Oh,
we need to disable round robin.
no, that's a good question actually.
Because what happened, right? We have
Mhm.
remote desktop services, right?
Mm.
So we have two servers, say RD1 and RD2, right? So both of them pointed to RDS dot whatever, right?
And
So what happens is that when, say, RD1 down and users trying to connect from home, they will still connect to RD1, but they wouldn't go to RD2. And I'm trying to figure out why. So I was thinking maybe because this was still enabled and we're using that for load balancing.
so in RDS, especially, we connect with DNS round robin. In RDS, this is when you're configuring it,
Right.
you have to do this actually. This is another step that you should be doing. So maybe that RDS dot something something, you must have given a name to that, right? That one name to this, both the
Yes.
service for connection. So that name must be there exactly like that
Yeah, but
in the DNS forward lookup zone. It is.
yeah, because you were saying it's not smart. So if it's down, it will still.
It's not
direct-
smart. It's still going to send there.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a problem we have. It's still directed.
Okay, so it's happening there.
Yeah.
So go for the next solution now. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
No, this is not smart. Basic one in Microsoft installation steps.
Right.
This is one of the steps to configure it.
So my question is that if you have RDS and you encounter this problem, if we enable load balancer, do we disable?
You still enable that as well. This is just working in the background. In case it's needed, it will do that. Otherwise, you're right in that other thing that don't uncheck that option of DNS round robin. Remove these records. That's all. If you carefully test that first, NLB working with that, NLB would be the better choice than this, obviously, because NLB does detect, oh, the service failed actually. RDS service, some of the services failed, and NLB detects that. But NLB still is not that smart, but it's much smarter than this one. DNS solution. This is just a basic one, and if that is happening, definitely I would just first test NLB in a test environment with those RDS servers, and then I'll finally remove just these two records, web app, just like web app, two records. But and the DNS option, it's okay if it's enabled. Mm-hmm.
So,
No.
what happens if you have like a third party network load balancing system?
Oh.
You have to disable Microsoft one?
DNS round robin. Oh, the NLB.
Yeah,
Definitely, you have to disable them.
disable the let the
Because either you can refer the machines to this one or that one. Yeah. NLB, yes, either this or that. DNS, just remove the record and it will not do anything. It's harmless. So, okay, let's go for NLB now, and now let's check if it's smart or how smart it is. If it is, no, it is. Okay, let's give some credit to Microsoft. Come on. So, and for RMS guys, we need Microsoft Word and Excel to be installed next week. Microsoft Word and Excel to be installed in one of the virtual machines or servers, because we need to check Active Directory rights management services, which disables your printing option, disables very small options in documents, and it's all for proprietary, that the document doesn't leave your organization, even in USB, even, well, you can still take a screenshot, I mean, from a camera, take a picture. Other than that, it should not leave. So or use your, mysteriously just use the webcam of the laptops of the people and watch from there as well. If there was a, no, just kidding. Okay, so I was gonna say, if there's a flash coming from the camera, then catch them. turn off the flash. Now what? If there's a click, but turn off the click as well. So how do you catch them now? Just keep watching 24/7 one guy to 25,000 laptops. Okay, another one that dead end. Anyway, NLB is very, very importante, and let's just go out of this microscope. I was gonna say Microsoft. Micro. So, okay, NLB transparently distributes traffic across multiple servers by using virtual IP addresses and a shared name. Shared name, same, just I used in the forward lookup zone in for those. That was a shared name. But of course, this is just like clustering in NLB. So with NLB or network load balancing, you gain fault tolerance and enhanced performance. So it's much more better than, of course, DNS round robin. It is often used with mission critical web servers, but can also be used with other types of servers as well. So a cluster, a network load balancing, a cluster has 2 or more servers. So in clustering, we call the servers as nodes. In network load balancing, we also call the servers as nodes. They're just still servers, right? So each node runs a separate copy of the desired service. So again, web application being hosted on multiple servers, same web application. So Easy Web for TD Bank could be running in thousands of servers, hundreds of servers, same application, because thousands and thousands of users are using that, right? So they are all redirected by very, very complicated and smart load balancer to data centers, and within data center, hundreds of servers, they are redirected to access that application. Each node runs a separate copy of the desired service application, such as a web server, an FTP server, or a secure shell SSH, or Michael's favorite remote desktop server, RDS, right? So hey, so you publish applications as well, right?
Yeah.
As well, what it does that actually that is the purpose that it has for. So how many applications is already there? 20, 30, 40, 50?
About 200.
Okay, that's a lot. How many users are using those?
Well, whoever
Wants to.
from, yeah.
Oh, working from home, that would be not more than 50, I guess.
Usually
Not more than 20 even.
at any one point in time, you might probably have 15 users, 50
Mhm.
hosts, like max.
And it's over the WAN anyway.
So like if user is a client and they don't want to use VPN, they just use
RDS.
RDS.
That's where Citrix is specialized in. Over the WAN with the LAN speed. Applications are presented with LAN speed. That's what RDS or Microsoft can never reach.
So right now I have a unique project to do. So we on RDS 2008.
Oh, okay.
We looking to update to
Better to go for 2012, which is much better than this, but no comparison to Citrix.
so yeah. So now I have to determine if that's a good solution to go with Citrix, but Citrix will be a whole different.
Oh, that's very expensive, main thing. One thing is very expensive. Just label that. Although, if it's a non-profit organization, there's big discounts. If it's an educational institution, there's a big discount. Other than that, okay, come under the knife and millions and millions of. No, it's not millions, but still expensive. But yeah, it specializes because that's why. Over the WAN, you get the LAN speeds. That's the perfect part.
Really?
It's wow. That's what they boast about. Hey, you check our, user experience will be the same on LAN, even on if you're on the WAN. So that's what they boast about. Okay, so NLB's scalable high availability feature found in Windows 2012 and R2. 2012 R2 NLB clusters can have between 2 to 32 nodes. Okay, that's good scalability. When you create an NLB cluster, it is called cluster, but it's not clustering. We already tested clustering, right? So you create a virtual network address and adapter that is assigned to the entire cluster. network requests are sent to the virtual network address. The requests are distributed across the nodes in the cluster. So okay, let's go ahead. There's a diagram coming anyway. Heartbeats, again, now this is the clustering concept again. We need 2 network cards for heartbeats, right? They're going to detect each other. If there are 32 nodes, suppose, every node or every server has an extra network card. They're pinging each other every 5 seconds, and if they don't find it, so there the smartness come. If the machine is down, not available, it will not send the traffic. And if the machine, suppose, is up now, or you introduced a new machine, it's going to smartly know that too and start sending or redirecting traffic to the new one. Or if that same machine that was down comes back, it's going to detect that and going to start the traffic again, and it's going to stop if it's not there. So good part. NLB can detect the failure of cluster nodes by sending packets known as heartbeats. NLB cluster heartbeats are transmitted every second between nodes, and if a node misses 5 consecutive heartbeats or 5 seconds, it's down, the node is automatically removed. Good. Convergence. When a node is added or removed, a process known as convergence occurs, where the cluster determines its current configuration by building. So convergence just means that you're fully available now, are your all configurations available, are you ready to take the traffic or not? That's convergence, right? That's what clustering load balancing service is asking the new machine. Are you ready to take the traffic? Everything is okay. So where the cluster determines its current configuration by building a membership of nodes and mapping client requests based on the available nodes. Convergence can occur only if each node is configured with the same port rules. So then it gets down a little more complicated, but it's a little more. Compared to other configurations, it's still easy. So NLB, to support NLB, your systems must meet the following requirements. The prereqs: all hosts in the cluster must reside on the same subnet. Okay. Within each cluster, so it's just the host, right? Within each cluster, all network adapters must be either multicast or unicast. Now we're going to talk about that. You cannot have some nodes configured as multicast and while other nodes are configured as unicast within a single cluster. We discuss multicast in later. If unicast mode is used, the network adapter that is used to handle client to cluster traffic must support changing its media control address. So unicast, normally it's multicast is used. Unicast is for if you have one network card. Multicast, if you have 2 network cards, it's going to detect that the outer external switch must detect every node behind the cluster with their MAC addresses. External switch, mainly has confirm information of how many nodes are there or how many computers in the environment are, because it has a MAC address of all of those machines, and through that it determines, okay, this is a particular machine and there's no traffic coming from there, and I need to send that traffic there. So if it's a unicast address, so it's going to have to need MAC address, changing its so must support changing its media as a control. So this means that the clustering feature will have to provide or tell the external switch, hey, my machines are on unicast, so can you not specifically search all the machines with MAC addresses and let my machine traffic work the same way as you would to any other machine. So it's just that unicast is for single network card, but normally it is always recommended to go for multicast, having 2 network cards as well, and external switch will detect your configuration better, and it will be more optimized traffic coming and going faster. The IP addresses assigned to the nodes must be static. Okay, this is the network load balancing cluster. So there is to configure NLB. Host parameters defines what each node can do in an NLB cluster. We're going to configure that now. Cluster parameters configures the NLB cluster as a whole. Port rules controls what ports the NLB cluster services and how requests are balanced across all rules. So we're going to go through the wizard. We're going to talk more about that, but port rules just gives you different criteria which traffic you want to pass through the cluster, from which source you want the traffic to be allowed, and from which source you don't want the traffic to be allowed. So port 25, maybe you say that okay, all the exchange server traffic can go from this, but any port 23 traffic cannot go. What is port 23? Port 23? 25 is the email. Port 23 is telnet or FTP. Jay knows all the ports anyway. Jay is active on ports. So port 23 is? Okay, you're asking or you're answering?
That's what it is.
Okay, telnet, exactly. So yeah, and so the thing is that port rules just means that you're configuring NLB cluster and telling it that hey, from this cluster only port 25 traffic will pass through, or port 23 traffic will pass through, or both of these, and other than that reject any other traffic coming from any other port. Or there are some other port rules that traffic from 192.168 201.1 up to, so this subnet, just reject the whole traffic from there. So you can just select from different sources according to subnet, according to ports. Port 80 traffic allow, port 443 traffic do not allow, which is SSL. So it could be anything, right? So port rules, okay. So use port rule configuration to specify the virtual IP address that the rules should apply to. The TCP UDP port range, this rule should apply to. The protocols that this protocol, this rule should apply to. So TCP UDP range, which ports, through which port you want that? Wow, love that. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that was nice. Anyway, that was alarm that hey, we need to go some college. Okay, so but that's like half an hour early. So the virtual IP address, the protocols that this rule should apply to, including TCP UDP or both. So the filtering mode described by the port range and the protocol specifies. So here you define how exactly you want the NLB to run. Okay, affinity determines how the servers are going to balance the load. That is called affinity. You use affinity settings when you use multiple host filter mode. So the filter mode specifies which host can respond to request. So you can filter as well. First of all, you are saying how many servers are going to balance the load or will be taking part in the load balancing, and then you can filter the mode by multiple host, single host, and disable. Let's go a little further in this multiple host. If you choose the multiple host filtering, you can then configure the affinity. If you have more than one, of course, then they will work together, right? So when you configure affinity, you can choose from 3 options. Okay, it goes down to options after options, and so either you can have no specific rule for the multiple servers to work together, or you can have single, or you can have class C. So we're gonna talk about that too. Class C just means that, you know, from what is the class C range? 192, 168, 200.1 up to 254. So from this range, if traffic is coming, let all my multiple servers handle that traffic if you want to configure. Otherwise, you know, normally it's none.
So it would work with like that class A private range. That would be
If the class C is there, then only. If that option is there, because normally because of, you know, smaller segments, networks divide their, you know, companies divide their networks into. So class C is more common. If you don't use that, it's also okay. They don't go for that option. Otherwise, normally it's always class C for many places. I've seen that broadcast domain is smaller, and broadcast is, you know, not divided. Okay, cluster operation mode. On the cluster parameters, you configure the virtual IP address, subnet mask, and DNS name that the cluster will use. Okay, we're gonna configure that in the wizard. You also can configure the cluster operation mode, which specifies whether a multicast MAC address should be used for cluster operations. Multicast is normally used, but we can there is an option for unicast or multicast. So now unicast comes here, and we get further bulldozed by theory, which is okay. When you configure an NLB cluster to use unicast mode, NLB replaces the network card's original MAC address, and all cluster hosts use the same unicast MAC address. In multicast, every network card's MAC address is used to the external switch, and unicast one MAC address is shown to the external switch. And so when you use unicast mode with a single network adapter on each node, the computer can communicate only with the other computers within the same subnet, and it's not going to send the traffic to other computers. So unicast, that's why unicast nobody use, right? Multicast mode, or if you are a small network, and if you're a small network, that's why you have one network card in the computer, because you're a small network. You don't want to spend money, or you don't have a tech guy who can tell you what to do. So multicast mode, when an NLB host is in multicast mode, each NLB network adapter has two MAC addresses, the original and the virtual. So, and then this comes IGMP, Internet Group Management Protocol, is a special form of multicast mode that prevents the network switch from flooding with traffic. So if you have a lot of traffic coming, that protocol is enabled. It's just safeguarding from a huge amount of traffic. When you use IGMP multicast mode, traffic is forwarded only through the switch ports that are part of the NLB cluster. However, to use IGMP, you need switch hardware that supports IGMP. So this IGMP can be supported if you have access to managed switch as well. So controlling hosts in NLB. Yes, you can, drain. So the drain stop action, there's a stop action. You can just terminate all services on NLB, or you can drain stop, blocks all new connections without terminating existing session. Drain stop just means slowly shut down the NLB. Upgrading an NLB cluster, there are two ways to upgrade a Windows 8 R2, or upgrade all the hosts at one time, upgrade each host one at a time. So that's what you were saying, that you need to upgrade. Oh, but that was the RDS service, right? And that means let's go home. No, so let's just go back and configure that service. So I have those NLB screenshots, and there's that cool PowerShell command that just installs that invoke command minus computer name. Oh, at least I can see that clearly now. Otherwise, you know what? Just sending those commands there will waste more time. So let's go GUI. There you just have to go to features and NLB and click and next, and that's it. Done. So two servers, server 2 and 3, we're going to install NLB. Hey, you're back, man. Cool. Welcome back, man. So, but thank you for the coffee, man. That really helped me, because I was awake all night testing the live motion and replication. So it seems so easy, right? Here. And my eyes are red right now. I had to test each and every option. There were so many errors coming. So in YouTube, they just shows so click, click, click next. And I'm like cursing them so bad that, they just show the perfect environment. Anyway, that's why we took time in creating the, going through the prerequisites. And the good part is, I'm going to deliver the same lecture there. Humber. Now I have, first I practiced last night, now I practice here. So there, see, I know all that. So I'm gonna specially edit that part. Okay, so let's just go ahead and install NLB on both those nodes. So this is server 2, and on server 2 we're gonna go for add roles and features. Is it a role or a feature? Anyone doing that? NLB is a role or a feature? Because of clustering, that's so complicated service, that can be a feature, and that should be a role actually, but that's a feature. Then NLB should be a feature as well. And network load balancing, NLB.
There
Is-
seems to be any domain controller.
So
There seems to be any domain controller.
on domain controller is also okay.
Oh, so that's going to be on a separate server.
So in my case, I'm putting both on member servers. Yeah. The perfect environment is if you have one domain controller separate and two member servers, but we stick to two machines because of the hardware. So I'm just going for features and going to network load balancer and click add features. Next, and yeah, screenshots have stopped coming from Jay for some reason. Jay used to work really hard, and there was some very out of extraordinary results coming, and then it stopped
You're
all.
working on the SCCM. Working on it.
Oh, come on, man.
I spent 1 day just on
1 day per week? Man, I thought you were ambitious.
I work like 2 labs, like I can do 2 labs in 1 day.
I thought you were more ambitious than this. 1 hour per day, not 1 day. Okay, that
No, no, I
translates to
did
1 hour.
2 days of work in 1 day.
Okay,
You know?
2 days?
So that you do like 3 hours, right?
Uh,
I can do 6 hours in 1 day.
Actually, that does translate to 1 hour per day.
Yeah, I guess. But I told you my method is.
Oh yeah,
I can
cut that even
but
further.
then I understand it if I do it that way.
Okay. Still, there was some speed, and now you have this ADK, so zero touch with WDS. You must do that. It's very important, and this one is very important. Hyper-V. So it's piling up. Good luck. Oh, anyway, next. But definitely, these are the things that we would definitely want. Okay, so I'm gonna click restart as well. But you know what will happen now? I'm putting it on Hyper-V nodes, and they're not very friendly configurations. So what we need to do is, before installing NLB, let's make Hyper-V unusable. How do we do that? If I go to local server on the Hyper-V node now, and I go to network settings, and if I go to my Ethernet 0, I think it has been Hyper-V'd properties. Yes, you can see that all options have been unchecked. So it has been a Hyper-V'd again. And if you just select this option, Hyper-V extensible virtual switch, because it takes over, occupies the main Ethernet. Now I get the idea why DHCP was not communicating. I should have had another extra network card for Hyper-V to occupy. But anyway, I can click uninstall to this service, right? Instead of unchecking, uninstall. I can click Hyper-V extensible virtual switch, uninstall, yes. Now you get your network card back. So, and that switch is also gone, which was extra switch showing here. So I'm gonna go to server 3 and do the same thing and make Hyper-V unusable here by going to that. So whenever we introduce Hyper-V, have an extra network card for the Hyper-V to occupy, and have another network card that is still connecting us to the internal network. So again, Hyper-V extensible virtual switch, click there, uninstall, and now we have our network card back. Now we can safely install NLB, because Hyper-V doesn't let anyone else work if it has occupied the main network card, which is supposed to help in our internal traffic. So that's why for Hyper-V, extra network card, mental note, armored. Okay, thank you. So server 2, and I'm just gonna start installation again. Dashboard, I'm gonna go to the features and go for the features and go down a little. Oh, let me get this on my microscope. So, and load balancing here in the features and add features. So in features, in the N, that's the only N, network load balancing. Next, install. I wanted to do the PowerShell way, but I should have sent those scripts already in the email. Now it less time is left. So I'm just gonna go to the second server. If we have unhyper-V'd, then we're okay, and we need to simply go to the dashboard, add roles and features to the second one as well.
If you already added it and then remove the
It's
Hyper-V method,
which is also okay. No, doesn't matter. So, oh, you already added the NLB,
yeah.
but you did not configure it, right? So it's okay.
No.
Yeah. So next, and next until we go to the feature. Go to the N and network load balancing. Add features. Oh yeah, screenshots. Not only J, but Sudarshan. I forgot to come here after that. Now we're two here.
The summer is coming. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't
seriously.
want to stay inside home. My house.
So start, that pile up of labs. Just get rid of those.
No,
And this is a season for better jobs, right? So before that, if you have done all these, you have, take the opportunity as they just go by like this.
yeah,
Take it.
Job you send us Dubai, yes.
Yeah.
Dubai, you sent us a list of job companies in Dubai.
Saudi Arabia.
How could I move there?
Well, there are many who wants to move, who came from there, and there are hundreds of them. They're also part of that job share forum. But others are all Canada specific jobs.
Yeah.
That was
I
just
like,
one of them.
You want us to move there?
Yeah, it's sponsored as well. So
A lot of these jobs are very
I would move there if they give me
a lot of
but I think I would be
experience.
sitting in there.
yeah, it's all system administrator job that I'm forwarding, and that's what I'm teaching. So aim high. No, but there are desktop jobs as well.
Oh,
But that desktop, either low or high. There's no balance. Huh?
that's it. It's either looking for senior people or
Yeah.
help desk.
Senior people for help desk.
No, they're either looking for senior people
Experienced.
or they're looking for
Oh yeah, either help desk or senior. Yeah. No, there. If you really do search, I mean, you really have to go inside and check. They do look for Superman. If you apply, they at once call if they don't have a Superman to apply. And normally, many times I called these jobs, and I got reply like this. Okay, you just applied. Okay, can we have an interview? And sometimes the main client called. Many times the recruiters called, and at once the interview was scheduled.
HR manager told me once they do it like that in order to weed out people
Okay.
from applying. To discourage people from applying.
Yeah.
What No, but some of them are like crazy, like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
experience.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
They always try to go for the best, but we never know that are they finding it, are they not finding it yet, and are they at the desperate level. So we always apply and check ourselves as well.
Yeah, I applied for everything.
So it's good to apply and actually go for it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Sometimes they overthink the job descriptions.
Exactly.
Majority of the time, they say you might have to like Macintosh experience, blah blah blah.
Mm.
Like my job as I for they see like Macintosh experience, blah
Mm.
blah blah, and all that stuff. But when it actually worked, I haven't touched. I haven't did like two Mac.
Serious.
Two Mac machines.
That's so they do put lot, and
Yeah.
many get scared. Oh, I didn't do that. I don't even apply.
Yeah, this is good.
But if you go, it's not all that. They just say that this is our requirement. But if they check themselves that you have these 3-4 integral skills, take it. So always go for it. Well, yeah.
But, you don't want to go into a scenario where you go for it and you're like, this is like.
No, some of the jobs I just don't even think of applying, because there are some things that they need required skills are only 3 or 4 required. Yeah, take them seriously. So if I don't qualify for 2 or 3, I just if I qualify for
What about
majority.
Your job? What about your Nunavut job that you applied?
Other job?
Nunavut.
Oh, that. They are in April. They might call, but they did ask, "Hey, are you still interested?" Maybe some other people have said, "No, we're not going there. We just saw on the YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a jungle. It's a snow actually."
I apply for everything. Everything
Okay.
I apply for. But if it let's say, alright, I want VMware and whatnot, I'd already take it serious.
Hmm.
but I still apply because I
Mm.
think too good,
Good.
for the interview. At least I'll
Experience
know
for
what I ask.
yeah, good. But one thing is, take your VMware VCP ASAP. VCP ASAP. That's if you didn't do that before summer, go for it. And if you need to do the training, didn't I tell you the site?
Yeah.
Just in $200.
Or Udemy.
190. No. The training that after that you can give an exam officially. So you take it from Cleveland College and there was another college. Online, they are partner academy with VMware, and it's $200.
Or Udemy.
Are you teaching the course or?
They're distance learning, and hundreds of students I've told, and they are done the course and they are now VCP officially, just with $200. It's on my forum. I put both those links. I'm gonna send that, but start the training, and there's distance learning. It's like, but after that, when you give the exam, you're officially VCP. So if you haven't done that, this is the main thing you should do. Even before this, VCP, do that. Virtualization is everywhere, crazy. It's Cleveland College and Stanley College. They're both community colleges in US, and they're like selling their, because they are official. VMware
ban them.
VMware doesn't know, and
Yeah.
everyone's quiet and happy. So Cleveland, but I have those links in the forum. If you go to the forum, itprofcourses.boards.net, and just type Cleveland or Stanley, you will get the link directly. Right? Okay, we are stuck in the middle of NLB. So, in fact, we installed the NLB and we discussed about the job market as well. So, and it's all recorded. So, but still, it was useful, kinda, and so let's just go ahead and not work on Hyper-V and close it. So, I was just, Hyper-V was in front of me. So, okay. So network load balancing is there. I'm going to go to tools. It's already installed. I just need to open it. If I once see it here, and sorry. Oh, it's the top. Okay. So yeah, there it is. Network load balancing. Oh, it is alphabetical still. Cool. So network load balancing here, and now this is the network load balancing console. We need to configure on any one of them, just like we configured the clustering on any one of the clustered nodes. Load balancing has to be configured as well. My precious pictures there are going to lead us again to success. Oh, okay, that was a big statement. Anyway, so the PowerShell, blah blah blah, we did that. Yeah, we just need to add the cluster first, and then we need to add one node after other. Okay, first we configure the properly one node with the cluster. Okay, so I'm just going to go back now and let's do that. So the cluster you can open on any one of them, but not both. Like you cannot configure on both. So let's just go to the network load balancing on. I'm on server 3. I could be on server 2. It doesn't matter. So right click, new cluster. So when we configure new cluster, now it's asking connect to one host that is to be part of the new cluster, and I'm just going to go for the current host, server 03. It did not specifically say for a FQDN, although it's always recommended to go that way, but it detected that. Good. So connect. So server 3 is the current host. If I go next now, right, everyone did that. Everyone except Jay did that. So come on, man. So now we have a priority. So you can see that there's a long line of numbers, and we can assign the priority that, hey, go for this node first and then go for the second node. If we were adding second, third, fourth, and maximum of 32 nodes we can add within NLB. So this means we can put the priority according to, as we know as a system administrator, that this node is perfect, this node was behaving bad yesterday, so I'm just going to put it on the 17th maybe. So this is a priority, right? And so this is dedicated IP address for this cluster host, and default state, initial host state is started. Yes, it is started, it's not stopped or suspended. The host is working fine. Okay, next. And then it goes for the cluster IP addresses are shared by every member of the cluster for load balancing. The first IP address listed is considered the primary cluster IP address and used for cluster heartbeat. So we need to have virtual IP address or VIP, what we call, and then the cluster name itself. So this is the cluster IP, which is separate from. So in a, if as a system administrator, I would have a Excel sheet, and I would have planned that I will just reserve this IP or separate this IP for just this NLB cluster use. So this is that IP which is separate and is not given to any other device or anything, right? This is a next available IP which I would just point to point for this usage. So 168, not 9, 168.200. What we did not use is 12. Okay. So 10 we did not use. Anyway, subnet mask 255, we're good. So 192.168.200.10, you can just go for 12, whatever you did not use. So press OK. This is a cluster IP. Now next it's gonna ask for, so this is the IP through which it's gonna go and redirect the traffic to different nodes behind the cluster, right? So next, this is the IP given. Now we need to give the name of the cluster. So suppose it's the web app, wow, web app, Planet of the Ape. So my domain.local. In my case, this is the name. In your case, it's I think sysnet domain.local. So you can just go for web app. Oh, I already created 2 DNS round robin entries as well. That should not confuse this guy into, hey, you already have that. So I'm just gonna quickly delete those from forward lookup zone and refresh. Anyway, I'm sure it's not gonna, but we should always be careful. So the web app, same name I'm using. I should have just used another name, toyota.mydomain.local or any name. But anyway, so we're just clicking multicast here, or we for the currently we just have 2 nodes. We can just go for default option as well. Let me just check those treasure of screenshots that are always useful. And okay, it's multicast. So, and yeah, the name is nlb.mydomain.local, but we can just go for web app dot. It could be anything actually, right? As I said, toyota.mydomain.local, anything. So multicast we're putting there, and then we're going ahead for I'm on server 2 and I have lost that NLB console. So what? Oh, sorry. Server 3. Yeah, I was testing. Oh no, I really forgot that. Okay. So web app multicast. Click that. Next. So now it says that you can define the port rules here. Right now it says anyone can come from anywhere, and we're just going to load balance that traffic. So it's 65,000 ports from 0. We can, if we click add here, this is all the configuration, or in fact instead of adding here, we can just go for edit. So again, this goes for the basic setting here. And if we can just change the port range. Suppose we just need port 25, only email traffic is passing. So how do we define that? Port 25 here and port 25. If that's the only port, we're doing that. So we just define like this, and both TCP UDP, or we can define specifically that the confirmed traffic, just TCP traffic just come, or both is okay. If this is how we are to define that, and also if we uncheck all here, it's going to go for the cluster IP address here through which we're putting that. But I just don't want to work on what I remember from last 20 years. So okay, we just so I'm just showing those options, but ultimately, of course, we are just selecting the default one because we need to see it working, and then we add the other host. Okay, pretty clear. If we can do the easiest thing, then we can go for the complicated ones. So server 3. So at least we get to know what is this. We can just click all back, and I'm just showing you that if this support, or we can just cancel out from here in the end. Also, this is the filtering mode that through single server, there are multiple hosts here, and through single server we can just go through the whole environment or check or connect to the multiple nodes. Also, we can go for network specific here as well, that if you're going for class C or the other node, when you go network specific, it's just that class C. If you have limited number of nodes and you want to go through receive the traffic from that network, or you want to disable from that network traffic, right? Or is it just a single host that you don't have a multiple host? We do have multiple nodes here, and we don't want to disable the port range. So this is how we are configuring. So we're going to just stick to the default here, cancel, and there's no next, so click finish. Now one node is added. If we had installed the network load balancing feature on the second one, it's now going to add that as well. It's going to detect and add that. So let's just go and right click that web app, which is the name of that network load balancing. Okay, converged just means that it's available for receiving the traffic. If it's converged status for the first one showing here, yep, it is showing here. But let's just add the second node as well and see if they both converge or are ready to receive the traffic, right? So right click that web app, the name which we give, we can just give here RDS, or we can just give here anything. Okay, so add host to cluster. Now the second host, which is server 02. In my case, I think 02. So click connect here. Please detect. Okay, thank you. So it discovered that. Sometimes it doesn't. So turn off the firewall or check ping. Ping that communication. So server 02, Ethernet 01, 202 is detected. Let's go ahead next. Again, this is second host, so and second priority is given to this. We can change the priority anytime, but if we drop down, one is not available, of course, that has already been assigned. So, and it is in the started state, so it is started. Next, all the default options here, and finito. Now it's saying pending, and it's going to one day converge, or Monday or Sunday, or refresh. So they should both, status for both should be converged. This means that they're both ready, or load balancer thinks they're ready now. And the second is actually converged. The first is still converging. Anyway, and there are some options, all the errors or event logs are showing below at the bottom. What's going on? Waiting for pending operation 2, load configuration from host. Anyone sees converged for both? Oh, that's not fair. Only I have some problem. Oh, no, I added that first. Anyway, refresh, please. I was just testing that. Do you know that? Thank you very much. Yeah, I forgot that. So converged. Now we need to, if we want to access this, we can create that web app. That's going to be a longer solution, but I wanted to have a web page opened here and here. I'm going to send you a screenshot and you can further test that, but I wanted to show you that if this is available here, what are the further features here. There is that add host to cluster. We can add another one, control host. So it is start, stop, drain, stop, suspend and resume. What is drain stop? Properly shut down the services and then shut down the whole computer or node. Drain stop. If I restart one of them, The other should be, so cluster is running out of what right now? If I want to know that cluster is running over, which is the primary node, which is the preferred node right now, and where does it say that that's the preferred node? And here, high priority 1, and if I go to server 3, it does not say that. So if I go to cluster properties here, cluster properties, so there's a cluster IP address, cluster parameters, web app, multicast, and port rules. We can just enable there, but according to the priority that has been given, this is host priority 1, so the traffic is supposed to be connected to this host first. And if I just cut this host, or just stop this, so if I right click the server 3 and go to control host and click stop, so if I go to that option now and refresh, so it is still saying stop, and host priority still is 1. Initial host state is still started. So hey NLB, don't try to be dumb, because now you're sending all the traffic to 1, and while I just put the clustering option to stop, but if I just put the whole host to the stop and go to server 2 and open the console there, because I want to restart this host now, and I want the priority of the traffic to be going now to the 2, which is active automatically, right? So network load balancing, it should be updated during the LB on a system with all networks. Okay, it's saying that hey, 1 is stopped. What are you talking here? Why are you here then if it is stopped? So the other one has detected that, and okay, it's still the 2. 3 is still the 1. So the service is stopped, but the server is still up, and the priority hasn't changed. So if I restart that guest and refresh that on 2 and refresh that on 2, it's still, oh okay, now something changed. It detected that, and priority is still not changed, although the traffic should be now okay. Server 3 is 1 from restart, back from restart, and server 3 still is the priority there. The best test is in the screenshots where you have one web page from server 2 and one web page from server 3, and does it let the traffic redirect if one host is not available? It will redirect that web page or traffic to the second web page. When you again just put that in the web browser, web app, and you shut down that server 3, and you again put web app in the web browser, it's going to redirect that traffic to the second one. So I'm just going to send you the screenshot if you want to understand, or if you want me to do that test on the next Saturday. So first 10-20 minutes we can do this test of, hey, let's prove that if we shut down the host, whatever service we were running out of this network load balancing, it redirect the traffic to that service or not. Because from priority we might not know, because this is a manual process that we're telling that, hey, always prefer this. If it's not available, go for that. So it should be going for that if we have a service to prove that too. So oops, it's already 1:37. So let's just test. So keep that intact for next week, Saturday, and get those screenshots for Hyper-V and DNS round robin, and also now the ADK with zero touch WDS piling up. So we're gonna test this, and guys, if we can have a MS Office or Microsoft Word and Excel installed on any one of the machine, because we need to test ADRMS and Active Directory Federation services and we're gonna leave any one of those in the last class. This is the fourth one, right? There is a fifth one. Okay, thank you, man. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we need to finish the topic anyway. So these two are here. Thank you for. So try to repeat